Yeah, gone.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here tonight at the Student and Family Committee. My name is Mr. Albert Benahan. I'm the chairperson of the Student and Family. I really appreciate everyone. Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad for everyone. I'd like to introduce my committee meeting. Please introduce yourself. I know we have somebody online.
Good evening, everyone. This is Bobby Brown. I'm en route to the meeting, but Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. I know Ms. Castillo was on the line, but she had a little difficult to get in. She will come back. I'd like to thank one of the board members, Mr. Joe Sutcliffe. Thank you for being here tonight. Also, I'd like to welcome for the first time with our new board member, Ms. Akisha. Thank you so much, Ms. Akisha. Let's give a big hand to Ms. Akisha. Thank you for with us. First meeting. First thing in an agenda I'm having is approval of meeting November 17, 2022. Can I have a motion to accept that?
I make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from last committee meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. I will second. You have any correction? Anything to change? Everything is okay in the minute, Ms. Brown?
Everything is okay.
Thank you. Minutes accepted. Second, I would love, if I go so fast, just let me know because there's a lot of things in the agenda. And I know everybody want to go home because, it's cold. But like I say, I love to see all this. Thank you. I don't want to give with the back. This is the way they put the tables. But thank you so much for everyone. Everyone be here tonight is very important for me, and this means a lot for me. I will never forget this. I really appreciate that. Second agenda, we have one of the best things that I had to bring it because people ask me so many questions and people want to know, parents, students, staff, community, and the second thing is the building committee. I have Ms. Otero and Mr. Larry. Can you please enjoy us in the table? So you can give a little update what's going on with the new Bassett High School.
I was waiting.
You can sit down here, please. I apologize before I start. I'm not used to, but I have to do it. Thank you, Ms. Perrin, to be here tonight. Our intern superintendent. I apologize for that. Thank you, Dr. Morgan, to be here, and Mr. Dil Planas. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for being here tonight. Ms. Otero and Mr. Larry, people want to ask questions. What's going on? What is the update from Bassett High School? So the floor is yours. That maybe I have some questions, but I just want you to let them know.
And
Let
I
them know
have a
what's going on.
little,
Thank you.
you've seen before.
Yeah.
We are currently out to bid on the project. The bids are due tomorrow. We're opening half of them at 10 o'clock in the morning and the other half at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It'll take us probably about a week to analyze the bids. We have a bunch of alternates for various items. We will go through the bids, opening, and then if we're within the budget, we will do scope reviews for the apparent low bidders to make sure they've included everything, that they have all the paperwork in place. Michelle looks at all the paperwork for the minority, hit the city's 30% requirement on the project. And what I have as a handout is the package that we presented to the board in May of the construction documents. It has a picture of the building. It has the up-to-date site plan. And it has the floor plans for all 4 floors of the building. There has been various rumors out there about various aspects of the project. What we're doing is to meet the DEP requirements. The finished first floor of the building will be 2 feet above the 500-year floodplain. So the building will never get flooded, etc. And you'll notice from the site plan, you now have a soccer field and football field, and what other things you want to put in it.
So for those who are unaware, on Bassett High School on a whole, it's roughly about 205,000 square feet. It's 4 floors. The intention is to try to bring back some of the trades that were taken out of the city, because we think that's kind of the better step in the direction for the kids to be able to accelerate in the future. So it's almost like they won't be like certification programs yet. I think the hope is that we'll get there at some point in time, but at least right now it's kind of a step in that direction to get your foot in the door for a few of the trades.
So it includes the ed spec that you approved several years back, and we modified it when the decision was made to put the military academy in the project. And so everything you voted on is included in the project.
I have a question. I know the BMA, Bridgeport Military Academy, is going to be in the new Bassett High School. What floor is going to be?
So it doesn't have a floor. The expectation was that they would combine it within the day-to-day activities of Bassett High School.
So some of the programs that are part of BASIC, they now can have those in the military academy.
So in other words, it's going to be what?
Exactly.
Bassett High School is going to be BMA, or Bassett High School dash BMA?
So to be
Oh.
very honest with you, that was never something that was wholeheartedly ironed out by the previous superintendent.
Okay.
So that's kind of still out there on how that's gonna work out.
Not working out, okay. I know our interim superintendent, Ms. Perry, she will handle that. She'll talk to you.
Yep, yeah.
I want to open the, for question. Ms. Brown, do you have any question to the building committee?
No questions. I did attend my first meeting with them, so I look forward to seeing all of the information that we're going to look to make sure these projects, are successful. But no questions.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. I know we have Ms. Castillo, but she's not online, right? Okay. I'm going to open to the board members. Mr. Joe Sokolow, you have any questions?
Yes, a few. You say we're going out to bid. What portion are we going out to bid?
Most of them.
All of them, but
All 17.
Perkins Eastman's still,
Perkins Eastman's still the architect.
it's still at risk, that risk management. And now, hearing about the BMA portion just now, it's kind of different from what we've been led to believe as a board, not on your end, but on our end. It's kind of led to believe it would be like a separate wing, separate self-contained wing.
At one point in time, there was discussion about having a separate wing, but the reality is it would never be a separate contained wing. It would just be a wing of the building that was going to be utilized solely by BMA. As the project went on, that kind of shifted gears a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, at the end of the day, we take our direction from someone else, not necessarily our idea.
So, what were the difficulties encountered in
Space.
space?
In dedicating their own area, is that where you're going
Yeah.
with that? Space. So you have to remember, the state's only going to reimburse X amount of, dollars per individual in the school. So we have to accommodate for all 1,250 that fit into that school with all usable space. And it was not, no matter how you tried to make it work, it really wasn't. We would be over the budget by millions of dollars.
We have to meet the state standard. They get so much square foot per student.
Understood. This is not on you, but quite disappointing because it was something that was emphasized when it was first broached. Pointing the two schools that BMA would have their own space, and it was one of the reasons a lot of the board actually approved the plan in that manner. Like I said, it's not
Understood.
not on y'all orders.
Mhm.
Just want to get that on record that
Understood.
Assistant principal that's in charge of the BMA program will be up on the 4th floor.
and if the whole program is going to be able to continue even although in this areas of the building.
I believe that was the expectation.
Okay, another question, as far as, all legally required environmental studies and all that has been done? All, required traffic studies have been done?
Correct. Those are all required in order to even get the okay to continue with the project.
And we get sign off from DOT's administration.
So every legally mandated requirement it has been met to go
Absolutely.
forward.
If we didn't, if we skipped a step, they'd be-
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Kisha, you have any questions for the community?
No, not at all. I'm just learning. No questions. Thank
All
you.
right. I have a question and a comment, and I will be honest. I was the first time, I never was happy to have you put together. I'm not saying, guys, it's your fault because you're doing your job and you have to follow the protocol and policy and the board. But he knows, the former superintendent know I never liked it. Because BMA is BMA and Bassett High School is Bassett High School. We know in the beginning, we said the Bassett's not gonna be together with BMA. BMA have so many things, especially the second floor. Whoever never went to the BMA, I went so many times. They have ambulance, you know, they have a lot of things. They have amazing stuff there. They now decide to put it on Bassett High School together. That was not the, let's say the meeting we have and what we talk about putting it together. Of course, I can say no, but the other ones can say yes. And sometimes the other majority win because they win because they want to say yes. They don't see what's gonna be the issue, the concerns, the problems, everything put through high school together, right? We have to be honest. It's respectful, and sometimes our staff and the principals have to deal with so many things with our students. It's not easy. So have this two school together from the day one and never be happy. And one of the things is because right now BMA have something in the hallway next to the principal's office. It's a big warrior angel. That angel was my niece painted with another student. Exactly it's gonna be 4 years and had that my niece passed away. And she painted that angel. The former superintendent said they're gonna save it. But the word is out, it's nothing black and white. But at least for the record, it's enough. I'm just saying this. So I'm worried one of the things about that because this is a good memory for not only my niece, another student, they did an amazing job in that BMA to put it together for Bassett High School. And I hope we can, we keep talking about this. I hope with with parent, we can decide something, what we can do, because I really not happy to have BMA in Bassett High School together. I know Bassett High School have so much program, and I'm very happy, very proud. BMA has so much program too, for our kids, but I don't want things go crazy, and I'm not saying to you guys for because I know you. Thank you first of all to come here.
Absolutely.
That's what I said, bring it here so people can know what's going on. People have questions, and I want to open to be transparency to the people. Let me reflect for the record that I have Ms. Castillo online and Ms. Bobby Brown. She's here with us. Thank you for being here, ladies. I appreciate that. And this is one of the reasons I want to bring this to you guys because I don't know what's going to happen. And I will pray for God that some things happen. We can change things correctly. All right. I am a kind of person that never give up. I know with good communication, we can get great success and good change. All right. Because it's the best for our students. And the most important, the best for our staff. I don't want my staff go crazy, go what's going on, why I'm this, why I'm here, what this thing happened, why go up and down. No, I don't want that. They work very hard to be sure things get very well in the school. Ms. Brown, you have any questions for us, building committee? Ms. Castillo was here, but she left. This is the first time I'm gonna do it, but because I know a lot of people ask me for, I'm gonna open the question for the floor. Please be short, professional, and to the point. So, Ms. Sammy Boyd, you have any questions? Ms. Sammy Boyd, she was the former BTSO president for BMA. Ms. Boyd, you have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. I was never happy with the decision of taking BMA away from its own entity. Fort Military Academy is a top high school. I have very passionate to me. I've had two sons that graduated out of BMA. As a parent, that's a choice school. I chose to send my child to BMA to give them a chance that I knew they were not going to have in Bassick, Central, Fairchild Wheeler, Harding. You are robbing these kids of a chance in Bridgeport and even our outsiders. Okay, when we started off when we were first implemented, we were put into Fairchild Wheeler. We were thrown out of Fairchild Wheeler because of our program. It was disciplined. They had drills. They were held up to very high standards. there's a uniform policy at BMA that is followed. You are going to ruin the structure of these kids. The building alone is set up. They have put so much money. We have passed so many naval inspections. The second floor was, I mean, there's a whole ambulance, literally a whole back of an ambulance in that building. We have aerospace stuff, we have first responders, we have the fire department, we have a whole bunch of stuff. Once it goes into Bassick High School, it's gonna get lost. They're not gonna be able to uphold the attendance rate they have. Their graduation rate is at like 98%. These kids go to school because they want to go to school. It's a first responder school. These kids are going to be disencouraged to want to go to school in Bassick. I'm sorry, it's the reality. So I'm very, very disturbed, and I really wish this was being discussed because I would have had my sons here. They would be in an uproar. One of my sons was a troubled child, behavioral child. That school saved my son's life. And now he's a manager in a franchise. When I thought I was going to lose him on the streets. But BMA made him into who he is. And I'm very, very, very disappointed in this.
Thank you, Ms. Boyd, and I really understand you and I agree with you because going back about the child, my niece, she graduated from there with honor when she was in Texas. She said very loud, and I can share with you with a video, Richmond Military Academy from Bridgeport School. She was very proud. When she was in Texas, she graduated for a high honor. Very proud to be in Bridgeport Military School. So anyone has some questions? Ms. Dasha Spell, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I have several questions about this process. And the reason why I do is because I was at the facility meetings when we were talking about the original Bassick and renovating it at its original location. And so we had blueprints, we had meetings. The parents were a part of the process. When Bassick was moved to the south end, I found out about it because there was going to be a press conference. And I've always been hearing there were meetings, there were conversations. And I'm just going to be truly, truly transparent. We build buildings with certain expectations, and the realization is that it has nothing to do with our kids. Our kids should be at the table when we're talking about a building for them. For this to happen tonight in a conversation about BMA, not even being, you might as well call it Bassick. It's not BMA. It's Bassick High School. That's not, I agree with Gabby. And the only other reason why I'm annoyed by this is because my school, Classical Studies, is a part of this package deal. And I know that for a fact because BMA moves, Classical moves into that building. This puts families in a situation where, okay, my kid loses their school, but your kid gets into school. In addition, we sat at a meeting with Ms. Siegel, and she said projected in 2 years deficit. So this building hasn't even broken ground. There's no foundation. What are we doing? Because it's going to take a couple of years for it to be built. So if you go into a deficit before this building even gets the foundation done, what's going to happen to our Bassick kids? Like this, I really believe, and I understand, and I don't blame none of y'all because the superintendent was doing his own stuff. I know that for a fact. He made his own decisions. But today, we need to have a realistic plan because right now what I'm hearing is a hot mess. And as a parent and a graduate of Bassick, no, I'm not having that. That's not fair to our Bassick kids whatsoever. Central did not have to move. We're sitting here. Hardin just moved across the street. You take Bassick out of one district and you put it in another district where they have not even addressed the flood zone. Also, my question is that what are we doing about the sewage? Because you got to build it up 2 feet up above the line, but you still have a sewage issue that's going to happen in that area.
which also needs to be approved from WPCA. So again, a lot of these things, we can't move forward without the right entities involved.
Yep.
What I will say with regards to your commentary about the whole BMA aspect, I understand, I hear you guys, I sympathize with you, but please understand that we don't make those decisions. We never make those calls. At the end of the day, we are told to build a building in a certain location. We go through proper protocol to understand that that's done and it's done properly. But that's not, you know what I mean? These aren't our call. So I hear you guys. I totally sympathize, and I hope it can all be worked out so that everybody's happy. But it's not, you know what I mean? All I can do is listen because that's well above me. Even the classical studies situation, again, things that I am not involved with at all.
So can I make this suggestion? To be fair, across the board, there needs to be a meeting, Bassett, BMA, classical. I'm the PAC vice president at Classical Studies.
Well, classical would be treated as a separate situation altogether because it's one thing for us to incorporate BMA into BASIC.
Right, because
And I wouldn't be opposed, even if you guys needed us to attend, we'll attend whatever meetings we need to attend. But those meetings need to come from, you know, the recommendation of the superintendent, just.
right, and that's why I'm putting it out there, because the realization is that you have 3 schools, 2 high schools and an elementary school that's involved in this situation scenario. As parents, and the thing about it is no one knew that this was even happening tonight. That's not fair. So instead of us hearing it through the grapevine, it's he said, she said, or this is what you think you know, or this is what you heard. No, it needs to be have a meeting with those particular entities, those programs in particular, because all 3 of them are a package deal in regards to what happens at that location in South Bend. That's all I'm asking, out of respect. Because at the end of the day, you know how I roll.
And I'm not quiet neither.
Yeah.
Program.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. And that's one of the reasons I bring it to the committee so we can bring it to the board. We can bring it to Ms. Alicia Perry to be the superintendent to try to see what we plan, what we can do. But like I said, that's one of the reason we bring it to the committee so we can hear your voice, we can understand, and let's see we can do the best. Because I know I said, and I'm tired to say this, and I'm not gonna get tired to say, with a good communication, good respect, we can get great successful. But when somebody wanna go off the line, we're not going nowhere. And I'm here to help you. I'm here to listen to you. I don't care if we have to do meetings so many times, so day and night, I'll be there. But with good respect, we can go so far. Somebody has some other question? Oh,
Ms. Brown came in person.
I hear you.
She's here in person.
no, I really
sorry.
connected.
He did it already. He did it. So you were sitting right
I did with Ms. Castillo. Somebody else have some another, hi, Ms. Ortiz, how you doing?
No.
Okay.
I'm actually just.
Can you please come a little closer for the record to, we can hear your voice so he can take minutes, please?
Yeah. Did you get my name, Julie Mar?
Just say it again, just for the record.
Julie Mar Ortiz. So I actually just came out of a meeting with my students. I'm a youth sport coordinator for PT Partners. As you know, the kids living in PT, their home school is Bassett High School, and some of them also attend BMA. They've been following this project closely, and I do have a letter from them with questions and concerns about the project. So we read with concerns about the new Bassett High School. As current students and members of PT Barnum Youth Corps, we've been following this project. PT is mostly Black and Latino, and our local public high school is Bassett. We are already, as low-income public housing residents, are forced to live among polluting industries, including the WPCA, ONG Industries. To paint a picture, and this is what they wrote, we literally wake up smelling feces with our breakfast in the morning from the sewage plant. And so when it comes to environmental injustices, we take those issues very seriously. A couple of weeks ago, there was a student who attended a city council meeting where we talked a little bit about the Bassett plan, and she literally couldn't sit in the meeting because of someone's perfume. Has chronic asthma. She grew up in PT her entire life. And, she can't even sit in rooms. She has to be hospitalized multiple weeks out of the year because of this. And taking that into consideration, we acknowledge that the reason why you live this way is because people in power decided decades ago that it was a good idea to allow low-income Black and Brown residents, immigrants to live among pollution. And so here are their concerns. The new Bassett is being built in a FEMA flood zone. currently there is no fully funded plan to address flooding in the South End. How would that be mitigated in the long term and in the short term? Students living in PT would be forced to walk an extra 30 minutes to school. It's about an extra mile from the west, where they live on the west side. And their chances of being in an accident or absent or late to school would increase. And so they asked about updated transportation plans for the students that are now living further. The new BASIC will also be built near other polluting industries, which will increase their chances of chronic disease that they're already suffering from. And how will you ensure air quality for these students? And the new BASIC will also be built on a college campus and will place underage students in greater risk of being harassed. And how would you protect them? In this age of heightened climate mitigation, both state and local governments bypassed critical environmental impact studies that would have given the community a full picture of the environmental impact. So do you plan to move forward with building an entire public high school without studying these impacts? Two of them also attend BMA and are 100% against merging with BASIC High School. I guess there's been a petition being circulated throughout that school. And so they let me know that they signed that. And so they really just want to thank you all for holding this meeting. They're sad they couldn't come. But you know, they will be at future meetings, and their initiative is just, they want a better school, right? I went to BASIC 11 years ago and we needed a better school back then, you know, so it's been a long time coming, but we want to make sure. So,
Thank you, Ms. Ortiz. I appreciate it. Can you please email me that your concerns, stuff like that, so I can share with the committee and Ms. Perrin, please? I would appreciate that. Have another last one question? Nobody? Which one? All right, I want to open the floor again for my board members. You have any questions, Ms. Brown?
No.
Is Joe?
Yeah, as far as the buses, the new, that's probably more for Ms. Perrin and staff. As far as buses, they're gonna fall into a new zone and they'll get bus passes, correct, for the high school?
So there's a certain allotted amount of bus passes that are going to be associated with that, depending on the distance that they are from the school.
Right, and at the current time, we have a surplus of passes to probably be able to absorb.
I can't answer that question.
I think I heard that on one of our last meetings.
And
Over here.
I think we got a surplus of bus passes and they will be providing bus transportation for the most part, but it's got to be worked out to confirm exactly how much.
To be under 2 months.
Ms. Acacia, you have any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Ms. Perrin, you have any question, any comment to say?
No, the only comment that I have is I'm glad that the parents are here speaking about, you know, their concerns. As you know, I'm new to this process as far as taking over in this year and finding out your voice is really important and just trying to find a solution. And we're going to work to try to do that.
Thank you, Ms. Perrin. I know, and I want you people to understand that Ms. Perrin, she's new in the district. She's trying to do best. She's learning like we all learning. So I don't want people to go crazy. Oh, Ms. the superintendent, they don't know this, or she don't know that, because that, no, I'm not going with that situation. Ms. Perrin and the board members, we're working together for the better future for our kids. All right, so nothing is perfect, but we're going little by little, you know, trying to work together as a team. Dr. Morgan, you have any questions? No. Mr. Plana?
No question.
And Mr. Larry and Mr. Otero, I appreciate that, you know, you're coming tonight and everything. This is not nothing that big. I want you, you know, feel that I'm talking to you. This is the concern about the parents and the people, the community, the leaders, how they feel about the schools, you know. And I know 2023, next year, we're gonna try to do a meeting, you know, with the permission with parents. We can plan something, you know, for the community. They can know, you know, like I say, it's for the best for our children.
Request to you, if she forwards you that email, maybe you and I can get together and kind of put some answers. Because I don't want her to think that she just came, spoke and didn't.
No. Listen, I'm a kind of person, I listen everyone.
Yep.
And I go review what the minutes, and I like to contact everyone who we speak, so they can know for the next meeting they can attend it. Right? Thank you. Can you leave this so I can share with the other people? Sure. Come here, please.
Thank you.
Because they hear, I know they're gonna ask. Are you going to carry nothing? Thank you, Mr. Larry and Mr. Tego.
Yep.
I appreciate your time. Well, the third one in the agenda, we've got information technology service. I'm gonna give the floor to the master of the IT, Mr. Jeff. Thank you, Jeff, for being here tonight.
No problem.
So you know, the last time we have a meeting with Ms. Brown, we were talking about social media. You know, what's going on, what is the consequence, what we can do, what we can prepare, especially our parents. Our parents, because I always say education start home. We work out to let them know the parents, what is the consequence with our kids being in the social media and computer and laptop, cell phone, do things they're not supposed to be doing. They can have issues, parents, they can have problems. In our virtual school, if one of the kids do something when it's in a virtual school, they will have a consequence because we have to follow the policy and the protocol the way it is. I want to bring that information out so you can let them know. Your floor is yours.
Okay,
Thank you.
no problem. Sam, could you bring up the attachment
Great.
I sent?
So I'll call you and we can schedule.
Yeah.
Do the student handbook one first, please. Thanks. Student handbook one. It says BPS student handbook. Sorry. Thanks. Okay, so to answer your question, obviously, social media and honestly, the internet in general is of top concern to parents because of the fact that, you know, there is so many different types of dangers out there. So what we do as a district is on a daily basis, we are constantly, you know, checking systems and verifying that, you know, first of all, that we're protecting the children, protecting their access. And we have a whole host of different services and things that we use to basically to watch for, you know, bad behavior or when things happen. And, you know, when and if they do end up happening, what we do is we go through a process of performing an incident response. And essentially what that does is to look and see what the claim is as to what happened. And so, you know, if there is inappropriate access to something, or if there is an issue with, you know, one student talking to another, what we have to do is determine what the claim is. And so there are things that are within the control of the district, and there are things that are not within the control of the district. And so just the internet itself and in general makes that one of the toughest things to honestly deal with. And so what we do is most of the things that we have live inside of our Office 365 Teams environment. So when the kids are interacting or they're working, they're inside of a safe and secure platform where essentially we're trying to keep them focused on academics and working in those areas. But as an example, if they were to go to some other site or some other thing, and then, you know, they were to start sending messages or doing things that are, you know, not appropriate, once that gets reported, or if it gets caught by one of our various different ways of catching things like that, one of the filters that we have, and we go through the incident process, what we do is we determine, first of all, you know, what has actually occurred, because the most important thing is to actually, you know, people can say, oh, I saw the person doing this, or I saw this happen, rather than just, you know, saying, oh, you know, it's through hearsay. We get the exact information. We look at the access history. We look and see exactly where they went, what they did, how it was done. And so we put together a picture, which is known as a timeline. And we put that timeline together and essentially use that to provide that information to the principal, or to, depending on if it's, you know, BLC, you know, one of the schools that, you know, like Aqua that has a director, but at the end of the day, whoever the building admin is. And then what we do is we make a recommendation based on the severity of what's occurred, what actions are based on existing things that we have as existing precedent. And what we do is we try to, show honestly, that everything is more or less measured the same. And the thing about technology and this in general is that it's no one situation is really ever the same. So what we can do is we try to gauge it and try to provide that information to the principal, because at the end of the day, it's about academic impact and a decision as it relates to protecting the child. And so then those building administrators make that decision. So does that make sense so far?
Yeah.
Okay. And so then when that happens, as you can see here in the handbook, there are two different things. There is the board policy for usage, which I'll show in just a moment. And then, Sam, if you mind just going up a little bit, sorry. There is the handbook. So at the beginning of each scholastic year, we have all the students either digitally or electronically sign, or also paper sign this, which is essentially their adherence to the policy for technology.
It's, he's running to the restroom. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got
Sure, sorry.
Yeah, no,
I didn't know if she was.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
So basically, what happens is no, sorry, I apologize. I lost my train of
The
thought.
policy.
The policy.
Policy, thank you.
Sign it.
And so once they sign the policy, what ends up happening is they go forward and sure you can see that there. Yes, so they would essentially lose access dependent on the severity of that particular incident. Now, the other part of it too is that there are also two sides to the story. So one of the other things we end up having to do is actually speaking either with the teachers or the different things. So we can kind of get a better picture. And so while they do sign the policy, a lot of times the children may not necessarily understand exactly what they're signing or what they're agreeing to. So the important thing to understand is that while this is in place and this is the expectation, it is more nebulous than that, and it requires, more of a administrative response when you're dealing with it. And so in many cases, what we found is that if the child is acting out, or if there's something as it relates to, they want attention or things of that nature, that leads to things like working with social work and working with guidance and working with their principal to have an appropriate response based on the actual incident that's occurred. And Sam, if you could just scroll down a little bit on that. And so the important thing to understand is that our number one and most important thing is safeguarding the children. That's top priority above all else. And whenever and if ever there is any issue, we take, we always err on the side of safety and protection above all else. And so if, as an example, and we get this question periodically, if one child has done something wrong, but they've affected the other kids, we don't take the chance of it possibly being able to happen. What we do is we freeze all of the stuff in time, and then we develop that timeline so we can look at it and say, this person here didn't actually have anything to do with it, so we can put that to the side and let them go about. But then it turns out that these other two people here are, actually involved. And so that allows the administrator to do that. And we've had cases where, unfortunately, this has happened across schools. And that's actually what makes this even more interesting, is that now not only do you have students that are having it occur in that school, but how does it affect at one school versus the other? And so it takes a lot of work. But the idea here is that this provides the foundation for that. And this policy is readily available for the public and obviously the parents to read this. And understand. And then if you could switch to the board policy, please. Because it's a long policy, but it more or less summarizes what I just said. Yes, please. The one that Board of Education policy.
While he's doing that, and you guys track, so when students sign in, so that's their student ID that you're tracking.
That's correct. Yes.
So just, for anyone that didn't understand, that's the ID that they're tracking. So that helps them see who's on, who's off, and who may be on sites that they shouldn't be on. Because when I was in school, MySpace was a big thing, but that was blocked on every type of social platform that we could find. And we were trying to build, and we were coding and trying to get past the system. Don't tell my mom, but that was that was kind of it's like you guys knew. So just imagine in 2022, how unique and
creative. We try to be just to keep the negative stuff from coming into the district.
And that's the challenge is that because it evolves, and honestly, it evolves on a daily basis. The tough part about it is looking for those trends. And so that's what we actually spend a ton of time in ITS doing is we have academic technologists that work in ITS. And their job, as you talked about the student IDs, is they actually look at the student IDs and we look to see, are they using the technology for the academic purposes that we intended? Is this something where, if we start to see all of a sudden unusual behavior, because the other thing we also have to deal with is constant attacks from the outside world as well. And so that's really something important to note is that we spend, like most school districts, an inordinate amount of time making sure that we're defending against, invaders on the outside and doing everything we can to safeguard the kids. It's an ever evolving thing that honestly, will always keep us busy. So, but to move to this point here, the actual board policy 6401 is the official board policy that states what the acceptable usage of technology is in the district. So just to clarify, right now, Bridgeport Public Schools is a 1-to-1 school district. So prior to COVID, and I'll explain 1-to-1 in just one second, we had in some schools as low as 17% 1-to-1, which means that only 17% of the children had that because of funding. And now we are 100% across the board. So all kids pre-K to 2 have an iPad because that's what we've chosen as device, which has been phenomenal. I mean, absolutely phenomenal and honestly game-changing. And all the kids that are from 3 to 12 have a Windows laptop and they use that. And the other things that we have to deal with in terms of, technology, obviously, is the damage of the technology, which falls into a separate category, which is handled specifically at the school level. But as it relates back to this board policy, so it talks about the usage of those 2 different device classes that I just talked about, and what is appropriate, what's not appropriate, and essentially, if you could scroll down just a little bit there. The idea that, and this is important, is that our network, our technology, and our basically everything technology related is for the, explicit purpose of providing academic and educational, components, even if that's coding, Minecraft for education. The purpose of the technology changes constantly, but at the end of the day, the things that we will not allow, which are clearly stated in this policy, is what we also, unfortunately have to deal with. And so it states those in there, and that's what we defend against. Now, are there any questions about kind of like the scope of the technology, what the policies are before I switch to social media? Because I want to make sure I bring that piece in.
Try to open the floor for the board member, Ms.
Sure, please, by all means.
Any questions?
I'll give it to Mr.
What am I talking at the joke?
Yeah.
Joe, you have the floor, sir.
Yes, as far as the internet today still being considered a privilege, with so many of our curriculum being online, requiring access, some of our schools don't even have textbooks anymore. Then it's
we move more towards a necessity. But the nice part about it is that we have implements in place where if there is an issue where the student doesn't have it, we actually have plans for that. And that's something that we, like every school district, have been challenged by. If student X is doing something wrong with their device on a continual basis, or they're breaking it or things of that nature, how do you go and say, well, you can't have this, but you need to be able to do your work? And so we've come up with really good ways of handling that. So an example is that we have what are known as in-school loaners. So if the device has been broken and there isn't recourse and things haven't been done, we always guarantee that the child has access to what they need. But in scenarios where, let's say, they were doing something they weren't supposed to be doing on the internet, or there's specific things that they were accessing, somehow that they got to them, we can actually tighten the level of control and say you can only access these specific things on this device. And what's nice is and this is fantastic, and it's a credit to all the principals and the teachers and everybody, is that they've done a really good job as we've gone through the COVID time period to help the kids understand digital citizenship and to work towards having them understand that there is a consequence to these actions. That, like with all children, it's not to say that they're not going to do stuff that's wrong. I mean, all kids are kids, but the idea is that, you know, we've seen a substantially better outcome now, and we've seen a drop in people doing the types of attacks that we'd seen in the early days of COVID, which is fantastic. And it's because of things like the policy and having them understand that when you do this, this will happen. That's worked out well.
So we'll be able to partition certain devices so they would still have access to like the textbooks.
That's correct. Yep, and we do actively do that. And yeah, as a matter of fact, in our highest security area, which is the juvenile detention center, that is, all of the devices are designed in that manner. They can only access exactly specifically what it is for obvious reasons. That
was my concern, to seeing the right versus the privilege and
yes,
just to ensure.
Absolutely, and that comes up constantly. And the idea is that you want them to have growth, you want them to have opportunity, and that's part of what all these great programs that have afforded this come from. But at the same time, they have to understand that with, you know, this comes responsibility.
Right. So. And I've seen this several times. You're right in as far as reading and understanding, because as a board member and as a parent, I've been over this quite a few times. But right now, something's really sticking in my craw right now.
What's that?
Number 5.
So that policy was written long before me. Can't answer that one for you. That would be something.
So automatically, what I see is a child as an advocate has a problem with his teacher or his principal that's not being addressed. That child reaches out to the Board of Education, and it's critical of administration and staff. I mean, we've got policies in place where staff cannot reach out to the board members directly, and it's punitive
Yes.
But there's, for the students that have a punitive action to complain about their, I know it's not your bailiwick. I think that's something we got to look at.
That would fall in my opinion, under governance. I mean, I would say that I don't know. I mean, at the time that this was written, maybe there was logic to that specifically. I wouldn't.
Yeah, I think we got to look at that.
But I would say that, you know, the policy, I believe, was done in 2014, I want to say. So, you know, if that
I love me some constructive criticism. I never want to stifle it, especially from our students. And final question, it's not really related to the policy, but you mentioned the one-to-one district. We'll be touching on devices again later on in the presentation, or?
If you'd like me to, I'm happy to.
I would just like to know our rate of shrinkage and
the damage rate.
How long are we anticipating still being a one-to-one district before funding runs out?
Yep, that's an excellent question. So, did you want me to finish? Like, are there any other questions before I go to that, or?
No. Okay, no. If it's coming up later in the presentation, it's fine.
I can speak. Yeah, my understanding was that we were going to talk about social media. I can totally talk about that afterwards. Yeah, absolutely, no problem. Any other questions as it relates to this, or?
Ms. Brown?
I got one question that's related to this. So let's say a student is doing some research for their teacher on the KKK, Black Panthers, school shootings, all these things that would bring up a red flag with IT. Is there some research done as far as, you know, is the student doing history, a lesson on this stuff, or, you know, just before the student gets disciplined?
Yeah, we've actually had similar things happen for that. And what happens is, because it raises the red flag, as you said, what it is it's the determination of what is it that is causing that to happen. And then, you know, we go and we talk to, you know, if it reaches that level, which has only happened, thankfully for us, only like 3 times that I can remember, at least off the top of my head right now. Don't quote me on that. But what will happen is then we go and we determine, you know, this obviously needs to be brought to the building administrator, and then we review and say, oh, okay, were they doing research project as it related to this? What was the reasoning behind it? And that's the other thing is when you do technology and you do the stuff I'm talking about, the most important thing is not snapping to decisions or conclusions, because what ends up happening is that has a consequence, right? If you go and you say, oh, this person did this thing, and then it turns out it was a hacker in Abu Dhabi that was doing it, and you thought it was the kid. That's why we can't do that. We have to know and understand. So again, to go back to where I was saying, we always err on the side of caution at all times we freeze things, we assess, we determine, and then we provide it to the appropriate academic authorities so that they can figure out what is really going on. Does that kind of make sense?
That's perfect. Thank you.
No problem. My pleasure.
So I want to go pick up about Keisha said about, so that's when they use one of the computer or one of the computer and they go, situation share. It's not for me that you guys, receive that message that the student let them know the principal, not the principal, the teacher. Listen, I'm having this problem. I know we got this project for the computer, not let me get it. So I believe they contact you, they contact ID department, let them know.
Yeah. So the way we you like, how's the process work?
Yeah.
So the way the process works is that each school has something called a SysOp, which stands for a systems operator in the school. Depending on the size of the school. So each school has at least what's known as a senior SysOp and a junior SysOp. And they are basically the technology people, in quotes, for the building. And they oversee things like the deployment as it relates to the kids. And just as a shout out to our SysOps, our SysOps and our team, they do an absolutely phenomenal. We would not be able to do what we do without them. So just make sure I say that. And they're teachers, by the way, just to be clear. I'm sorry.
So many things to say.
That's all right. Where was I going now?
So the good thing is that I don't want the student got trouble, so I leave the reporter, something going. So you can handle it.
Yeah. So I mean, essentially, what happens is if a student reports that there's an issue, we have the SysOps that go and essentially address it in the moment. The teacher is ultimately responsible for dealing with their student's device in the room at that time. Where we mostly see challenges are in places like the high school where if they switch from class to class, but believe it or not, most of the high schools have it down to a rhythm at this point where they're able to basically go either to the SysOp or to homeroom teacher and say, oh, I have this problem. But what's great about it is that we have a really well and veteran system now where if an issue occurs, we have a response for just about all the different things that come up now. And that's honestly a credit to the SysOps. And in the elementary schools, it's more or less straightforward. If the device breaks, we have break fix on hand to address that type of stuff hopefully quickly. Yes.
Just a quick question. Is the software looking for trigger words like how Google would? Like Google will automatically find trigger words. So even if it's the presentation itself or the project, but is trigger words directly reported to you guys or the whole entire link that they?
It's actually, it's a whole host of different things.
Okay.
We have what are known as content filters. We have filters for the purposes of what is acceptable to look at. I mean, honestly, there's a whole host of different things it actually does. So what I would say is that it's a combination of all those things, not one specific thing. Does that kind of make sense?
Got it.
Yeah.
Sorry to be the
Yeah. Oh, no, please, by all means.
Mr. Benahan's back to you.
Any question?
Nope.
Dr. Morgan, any?
No, I understand.
Joe?
I'm good.
You're okay. Thank you so much, and I appreciate that. I just want to bring that message out so they can know we have a policy.
Yep.
This is the consequence. We try to do the best we can. I don't want parents that say, oh, I let me know. I don't know nothing like that. And I know it's part of the committee for Ms. Brown too, so.
Yeah. And the good thing is for the social wellness that comes from my committee, once we've addressed what that is, then it'll go back to yours and teaching and learning.
Sounds good. Great. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. For that, Ms. Perry, you have any comment to Jeff about? No. All right.
Oh, wait, 1 second. I'm sorry.
Oh.
The question about the devices.
Yes. Oh, what are the devices?
I'm not what are they? How long we're going to be a one-to-one district and?
Okay, so right now we are in what is known as the ECF program. The ECF program is a program provided generously by the E-Rate and what's called USAC FCC. So it is specifically, and I think I've talked about this in other board meetings, but basically we every year go out and we put our RFP out and we purchase and get almost all of our services as it relates to technology, to network access and things of that nature through that process. So that is what is actually allowing us to continue to have that. So what happens is what with the break rates and the damage that we have right now, we are able to get more devices through E-rate, which is not something we have ever been able to do before. This is an entirely new thing. Districts all across the country, I mean, it's honestly been game changing, and that's what we have benefited from. And on top of that, in terms of ESSER funding and ARP, those funding sources, and also the Dalio Foundation, all of those different sources together make it so that we have enough stock right now with our current cycle to hopefully last us the next several years at least, with more than ample devices to accomplish that. And then on top of that, as part of our like when they break the device, our fee, what we will do eventually is so the fee we charge is, the amount to cover, like if they break the screen or things like that. And we basically follow kind of like the national way that everybody has done that. Like there's different fees for each damage level, and then it allows us to replace it. So I don't want to be held to any numbers, but I would say that, we're at least, knock on wood, looking good for the next several years. So.
And if I may, the board would probably be quite interested to get a head start if we do enter that danger area. So raise a red flag with the superintendent.
I will.
Afterwards, please.
Yep, I will absolutely do that. That's
We're
appropriate.
1 to 3 district.
Yep, well, I will make sure the superintendent has all the appropriate information, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. I
problem.
appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you
great.
so much.
No problem. Thank you.
Next one we have in an agenda, we have a special education update. I have Ms. Johnson come to the front, please. Ms. Johnson, she's our new director of special education. Thank you, Ms. Johnson, for being here tonight. Appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
The reason why I bring you to my committee because we had a lot of concerns about parents, staff and everyone about what's going on, all the topics that you see in the package between A to the G, about IAP, 504, PPT policy, proper protocol, regulation, behavior assessment, and one review process. And your floor is yours. So, I got people here that have some questions for you too. So I want to clarify that. So.
Okay. So good evening, board members, superintendent, parent, our school and community partners and families. As he just shared, my name is Shemaine Johnson. I'm the new director of special education, and I am here tonight to provide an overview, some general information regarding select topics within special education. And as you shared, those topics range from what is an IEP to understanding what the annual review process is and what our protocol is for evaluations. So I am going to highlight the information that was presented in the report shared previously. When it comes to an IEP, it's an individualized education program. It's a legal document that outlines special education services and supports needed for children to thrive in schools. The support may require teaching specific skills to address academic or behavioral challenges. It should include teaching strategies, modifications, accommodations needed for an optimal learning environment. The program is developed by a school team. That school team includes the general education teacher, a special education teacher, related service staff members, parents, and guardians. The IEP is updated annually and reviewed throughout the year to monitor a student's progress. It is important to note that the state of Connecticut's Bureau of Education has implemented a new IEP document and the special education data system, CTSEDS, this school year. While we know that has been a source of frustration navigating that system, we are aware and providing supports to our staff members throughout the district. We have committed to providing ongoing technical assistance and training to ensure proficiency among all users, and most recently working with our IT folks to update the website and ensure the parent portal reflects those changes. And in terms of our PPT policy, on our website, our special education policy and procedures manuals provide a structured outline that we all are supposed to adhere to. The district requires us to establish school teams that include our special ed teachers and related service providers to evaluate and program for student needs, students with who receive special services. The team is responsible for reviewing and responding referrals for special education, our initial evaluations, determining eligibility, and reviewing and revising the student's IEP. As I mentioned before, while there is an opportunity to review that annually, there are times when we recognize that we must come back to the table to review a student's progress and or performance or identify something that just might not be working. Sometimes those meetings are called by the parent. Parents are recognized members of the team, so they're well within their right to do that. And other times it might be from a related service provider who's working closely with the student, and we recognize that we should come together to make some changes. In terms of our protocol for evaluations, the district uses initial evaluations and reevaluation procedures in accordance with the IDEA to ensure proper identification of students with disabilities. It occurs through the implementation of comprehensive assessments and evaluation practices. That means collectively, there are a variety of individuals who will come together from their area of expertise to look at and evaluate the student to help determine what the disability is. If the PPT decides that no additional data is needed to determine the student's eligibility for services, then the district will provide the student's parents with prior written notice. If the PPT decides that the additional data is needed, the PPT, including parents, will define the evaluation procedures necessary to move forward and decide. There are forms that are identified here in the report that we are expected to use per the Connecticut State Department of Education, and they are outlined here for you. In terms of behavioral assessments, they are created to assist teams an opportunity to understand the function of behaviors that sometimes our students are exhibiting in the classroom that may impede their learning. In order for us to move collectively and try to get to the understanding of why, parents and teachers are often asked to answer questions about a student, and designated team members often will conduct multiple observations across a variety of settings, and that data provided is used to develop what we call a behavior intervention plan. Again, it's a document that is constantly evolving. As we recognize a student is making growth in one area, it may force the team to take a look at a different area. And again, when we recognize as a team, if something is not working, not just the school-related folks sitting across the table, but parents also included, should initiate the process and coming back to relook at that plan. In terms of our annual review process, that annual meeting gives the teams an opportunity to come together each year to review the students' progress according to the goals and objectives that have been set forth on the IEP. The team will use that as an opportunity to discuss progress and identify areas and needs of further development, to update the IEP and recommend new goals and objectives. Transition planning, it's important to know that there are key times in a child's academic career where you must come together to plan what that looks like. A lot of times we tend to think about that at the secondary level, but it actually begins as early as preschool. Again, depending on the school, sometimes it's a transition in 6th grade or a transition from middle school to high school. And during those annual review meetings, we take consideration to what that would look like. We reflect on what has worked well in the setting and with the individuals who are working closely with the child, and that allows us to project for the future. In terms of psychological testing, that simply means an evaluation is used to determine the student's learning strengths and weaknesses. Our school teams look at cognitive ability. It helps us to understand how that student learns best. These evaluations are comprehensive, as they should be. We need to take a really good look at what would warrant the need for the special education services and related services required for the student. And last but not least, terminology. As you know, it's quite extensive when it comes to this realm within special education. What I did was I included the Parents Guide, which is lifted from the Connecticut State Department of Special Education. And it includes a lot of the terms and jargon that we use within our PPT settings. I have been fortunate enough to have attended a few of our family meetings. I've been meeting with school teams and meeting with some of our parents one-on-one. And based on feedback, I recognize it is an opportunity for us to share more so that we can level the playing fields a little bit more. Based on the feedback that I've received from parents in regards to this in particular, is they just want to be better prepared and feeling like they are in fact a member of the team. So with that feedback and ongoing conversations, my department and myself are working closely so that we can provide that level of support to our families. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. I want to open to the committee. Ms. Brown, you have any questions?
Thank you for the report. I think this actually came, what was it? Couple meetings back that we had for students and families. One of the issues a lot of parents just didn't understand the IEP process. We were talking about that, and a lot of them are scared when you use that word because they think that something is wrong with their child, and it's maybe not something wrong. Maybe it's just something we need to help understand and be able to support. So I'm glad that you outlined it the way that you did. Even when we were talking about in students and families a while back, it's just the literature in itself. Like you talk about the language, that was one of the issues that we talked about. Parents don't know what these things mean, or they're afraid to say that they need help because they don't want their child to be labeled. So there's just so many different concerns that parents are bringing up. So I'm really, really, really happy to hear that and to see that you're working with your team to make sure that it's accessible for parents to understand and that someone can walk them through the process. And I think that was like the biggest fear that we were talking about, was just they feel alone, or they're afraid that, something could be wrong, or they don't know who to talk to about the needs that their child is going through, or they don't even know how to identify them. They just know something is not where it should be. So that was really good. And I'm glad that you brought it to this meeting because that was what we were talking about, the IEP process. A lot of parents are, still afraid or don't understand what they need to do. So I'm glad.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Brown. Mr. Joe, you have any comment, question?
Yeah, a couple.
Couple.
How many open staff positions are there full-time for paras and for regular teachers, special ed teachers?
I do not have the vacancy list in front of me. I know we've been working on getting that number down. Happy to report that Bassick, one of our schools of concern, is fully staffed, but I can provide you with that information.
And next question, as far as any new open complaints, unresolved complaints with the state in regards to?
No new open. We are currently wrapping up a complaint that we were we were expected to respond to that came in, I think it was early fall or the summer. And that was based on a parent who expressed a concern due to our timeliness in responding to an IEE. As a result of that, one of the actions in terms of the state's expectation of the district was to ensure that all of our folks were trained and understood what an independent education evaluation was. We completed that training last week. That included teachers and administrators, related service folks, myself, my team, we all participated in that. And we are now looking to offer a similar training for our parents in person in the next few months.
And as far as, last question, as far as our evaluation with the independent consulting firm, where do we stand with that?
I'm not sure of the question.
We got an independent consultant firm reviewing special education.
Oh. Yes, so we just wrapped up the observations. I felt like that was
in December.
Yeah.
So they're going to come back
last month
in January. They're going to be back with mid-January with the report in regards to what they see needs to be done with the Bridgeport. They are just, of course, going to be giving us strategies that we can use. And as a team, we'll look through that information to start trying to implement some changes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Ms. Agisha, you have any questions?
Just want to mirror what Bobby Brown said and to just emphasize how important it is for the parents to understand the process, especially parents who have cognitive disabilities or parents who can't really read on our level and parents who are coming from other countries. Thank you. Very thorough report.
Thank you.
Karen, you have a comment, anything?
One of the things that Ms. Johnson has definitely been an advocate for is for students and making sure there's best programming for students, not what we have as far as our resources. A lot of times you hear conversations about what we have and what we have that's available versus what a child needs. And she's a strong advocate for that and working with the supervisors within the team to be able to do that. I know that she's been working with parents to do that too, so that their voices can be heard, because oftentimes it comes from very simple that they just feel like they can't. They're unfamiliar with the procedure, they're unfamiliar with the vernacular, but they're silenced because of that. And we're trying to empower them to say, you know what, you should be able to speak up. And even if you don't know what it's called, you don't know what it is, you can say, I need help, and make people feel comfortable in that realm. She's doing a phenomenal job with that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Morgan? Mr. Planner? I'm very glad, Ms. Johnson. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, because this is one of the reasons I'm being into my committee, because everybody know I'm always in PPT meeting with parents. They need me, request me, and I'm always there to support them, because they, like you said, they're really lost. They don't know the policy. They don't know what does it mean, IEP, the 504, so many stuff. And I'm very glad you're here. So when parents come and talk to me, I don't like to say no to the parent. When parent requests me and tell me, Mr. Benehan, I need you to support, I need you there, I'm there for the parent, because the parent requests me. It's not something I'm going to any PPT meeting and tell the staff or principal what they have to do. No, I like to listen and I have to learn from the staff. Sometimes the staff, they tell me things, I say, oh my God, I didn't know that. But the department, they're amazing, but sometimes they need to help more. I feel that parents have to come to your department, and your department, or your staff, go let them know to the parent, listen, we're here. I want to listen to you. This is the policy. This is the protocol. They tell me what kind of question, because I don't want parents to go wild. I don't want parents, they don't listen to my son. They don't care about my son. They don't care about this. And I really had last week, we went to a 3 PPT meeting, and I have to there to listen the parent, but let them know the parent, listen, this is the protocol. This is the policy. If you don't follow the protocol policy, the school have to follow the protocol and policy. But I want you to understand why the school is doing this. So parents, sometimes they confuse, I didn't know that. Nobody told me that. So, it's a lot of things that I know I can communicate with you and let them know, parent, listen, call Ms. Johnson. She have a team that will help you, that support you, so they can be sure our kids not lost, parents that don't go lost, So it's something, because the last thing we don't want is get sued. And trust me that I have somebody here that really twice and they win the case. So it's Mr. Andrew Resto. Mr. Andrew Resto is very dedicated for the special needs for almost 30 years. So he's not doing the situation to get, and I know it's the money of the kids. He's not doing this because he want to get a award. It's because they don't give the information, the protocol, the policy, what the parent and the student need. Things change. We have new people. I'm very glad you're on board. That I know we're not gonna get sued. Most important is you there, partner. And I really appreciate it. Can try to open the floor. Mr. Resto, you have any question for Ms. Johnson?
Yeah. When the parents call you, you return the call back?
Come to the table.
Can you come a little closer, because for the record, just go over there. I don't want John to say I didn't catch you.
The parents call you often, you return their calls at the same time?
Every call that I'm aware of, I have responded to. I've also responded to emails, and I've also met with 3 different families since I started in October.
Because I had to talk to Ms. Jenkins, because I called your office twice. I never got a phone call. So if I'm working with Ms. Johnson, my commitment is to work with her first. I was going to make a complaint with the state and put another lawsuit. It won't be my first time. It's an easy process, but if that's the way they want to go, then I'm willing to sit down with you. It's some concerns that I have for not only my granddaughter, but certain other kids, other schools.
Okay. If you call me, I will respond if you leave a voicemail, I will respond. I'm sorry, I don't know how our paths cross, but trust me, I will respond to you.
But if you give me 5 minutes after this, we can talk.
Even better, I'll give you 5 minutes.
We got it.
You see, you don't get so. That's the important thing. I'm, excuse me, I'm listening to my parents.
Behind you.
Who behind me? Oh, sorry. Oh, okay, yes, Maria. For the record.
To come closer
Yeah,
to the mic.
to the microphone.
Hi, my name is Nuri. I didn't give my last name.
Yes.
Yeah, my first name is Nuri, Nuri, last name Joseph. So I know the younger grades, you said how you can start having learning disabilities as young as pre-K. Some parents, how do you differentiate behavior issues at a young age where a child is not listening versus somebody who has an IEP? And how do you get tested for that because they are so young, they cannot focus versus a child who's in an older grade? So how would you tell a parent who's in a younger grade, your child does need some help with schoolwork versus, okay, this is just a stage they're going through. How do you differentiate that?
Well, I don't think every child who's exhibiting a challenge or difficulty is going to be someone who needs an IEP.
Yeah.
So if there was a child who was demonstrating a behavior or some challenges outside of what you would typically see, then I would say, or my recommendation would be for the team to look and put some interventions in place first.
Okay.
Exhaust those, exhaust those opportunities to reteach skills, provide exposure. I like to keep in the mind, especially our preschoolers, our most vulnerable folks haven't been in the world that long.
Yeah.
So a lot of times what we see is due to the fact that they just haven't had the experiences with peers in general. A lot of these little ones are also coming out of the pandemic. So there are behaviors that we see that may appear to be extreme with some tools and some early interventions could look very different. That's always the first step.
But if a parent is alert and they understand how IEPs work and stuff, they could have their doctors pre-test them. And if the doctor says, okay, this is out of the 5 things, they failed 3, you can early intervention, have them take resource classes to prevent them from, the earlier you get them resources, the better they will be for the future, right? So as parents, you should, she said, a lot of parents aren't aware of this type of stuff. But I feel like as a school, if we're pushing those, what you just said today is perfect. If we could have that printed for every school, parents will be able to understand, my kid is not different. They're learning on a different level.
Right.
And it's okay. It's for me to get help, speak to doctors and everything. So what I want to say is is it possible for what you just said to be printed for every school? Because that was beautiful.
To share with the school teams,
Yeah.
I would be happy to do that. I think it's also important, again, whenever there's any case that comes forward, it's important for the school teams to do observations, to have conversations. Parents are included because you are the first advocate and you have the most experience when it comes to your child to better sort out which way, what our approach is going to be. It may not necessarily be, in spite of what is done outside of school, going to result in an IEP because we may find collectively that that's the most appropriate thing. Sometimes time is our friend, and I don't know that we always give that an opportunity, but I'm happy to share my report. I'm happy to be a thought partner with you if you're personally experiencing something so that
because
we can work that out.
No, my nephew's 13 now, but because my sister-in-law was very alert and stuff, she knew at the age of 1.5 he has autism, and she got help right away. He went to therapy and stuff like that. But for a parent, they might not know these stuff. You're looking at your child and you're in denial, oh, he'll make eye contact with me later. He's supposed to talk. He's just a little speech delay. But if you're alert and you're asking the doctors the right questions, you could get them the help right away. That's why it's a lot of parents might not know what to ask their doctors too.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
No, I had another question. I have a question for you, Ms. Johnson. What's going on with the doctor putting a document? You look me like you ready for me. She's like, okay, I'm ready for your question. What's going on with the doctor putting a document that the child is autism or is special need, but the school said no, it's not because of different opinion from the doctor and one different from your teams.
I want to make sure I'm under. So if Were you gonna say something?
I do.
Go ahead.
Mr. Van Hen, tell me if I'm understanding you correctly. You say that there's a doctor's diagnosis of autism and the school is saying that he doesn't have autism. So you're speaking to the parent of an autistic child. So that's
I know
why I'm
you are.
going
I
to
know.
answer
Thank you
that
so much.
question. So you have two different things that are going on here. So the doctor might provide a diagnosis of autism. However, the type of program that the child may need in school may have nothing to do with the fact that he's autistic. There's lots of children who are very high functioning that are autistic, and they don't display any of those behaviors or anything that would impact the school environment. So usually if you have an IEP, you may have something else may be going on there. So they may not necessarily recognize it and create an IEP around that diagnosis unless it's impacting the academic setting.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Of course, yeah. Yeah, I just want to clear for the parents, sometimes they ask me that question. I appreciate that, thank you.
Yeah.
Ms. Johnson, you saved me a lot, so I don't need to go to other people. So I know, because I know you're from you and your team, you'll be give and help my parents correctly the way it is. Because that's what I care. When parents call me, mandatory, it's my job to answer them and be there for them, because I don't want to go off the line. I don't want they say, oh, nobody told me, nobody care about my son, they don't care about my daughter. No, we care about them. So, and this is the law, it's a policy. So I know you follow it, and I know your teams will follow that. So I really appreciate that. Now I know who, okay, here, call me Johnson. When they tell you, Mr. Bennett, how come you're gonna be, oh my God, here we go again. So at least you help my parent, that's what I get. I appreciate it, great report. Thank you so much, I appreciate that.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, next in our agenda is gonna be Mr. John, bullying update. Mr. John, you come to the front. Thank you for being here tonight again.
Absolutely.
So the reason I call you again, because I know parents and staff, they talk about bullying, what's going on in the bullying. I know you send an error package, some information. So I want you to give it an update on what's going on with our bullying in those schools, especially the high schools. Thank you. Your floor is yours.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I just want to frame the conversation by giving the statutory definition. We in Bridgeport go by the statutory definition. Bullying means the repeated use by one or more students of written, oral, electric communication, such as cyberbullying, directed or referring to another student attending the same school in the same school district. A physical act or gesture by one or more students repeatedly directed at another student attending the school in the same district. So that was the 2002 definition, and then it was changed. It was amended to include a severe act. So you can be deemed a bully if you provide an extreme act towards one student. So if the student is hospitalized as a result of your act, or if something egregious happens where the student has some kind of harm, severe harm. So that was a change in the definition. And it also changed according to who can bully. It talks about not just student to student, but it also talks about teacher to student, or it talks about staff member to student. So that's a change in the definition in 2021. So going towards our data, these are all the schools that reported allegations of bullying. As you can see, all the schools are not represented. And, my time is up. All the schools are not represented. And there's a reason why I feel all the schools are not represented. We had some influx with leadership. I was able to get on the agenda to speak to all the principals about the initiative. We had a lot of new principals, a lot of assistant principals that are new. So I have to get on the docket early, coming up soon, Ms. Parent. Yep, so that we can provide them with an overview and the training on bullying. But this number still falls in line with where we are. And I'll get to the next slide on that. It's interesting if you look at Claytor School. I wanted to know how Claytor School had so many allegations and people felt comfortable with providing the staff members with allegations of bullying. So I called the school and did a little investigation, and they held an assembly for the students early on. He also discussed bullying at all the parent meetings. So he made everyone aware of that. He provided students with actual names of staff members that they can go to discuss bullying with them, so that the kids can feel comfortable with disclosing this information. So that was good. So I'm going to use that to put in my presentation for the other schools, so they can use that as a way of promoting the allegations, because that's just allegations. It's not substantiating bully cases. So the final number for this is, so there's been 30 allegations, and the next slide will show you a year progression from 2020. That was the COVID year, so that really is an outlier. There were 13 allegations reported at this time in December. 2021, we have 53. And again, we had a lower number in 2022. And I think that's a direct result of us not tackling this in the beginning, talking with the principals about bullying and how they can utilize the paperwork and get the word out there for that. So we have to work harder on doing that. And I'm also going to go back to what we did before, your suggestion a couple of years ago, where we send the information out that I receive weekly when I get the Crystal Serve report, so that schools will know who's reporting the bullying allegations, so they can like beef up their advertisement on that. I'll stop there if you have any questions.
No?
Okay. All right. The next one.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah. It's a joke.
oh,
I think it's.
Ms. Brown.
No, I was trying to get your attention for you.
Yeah, question on there. Who's the principal of Clayton?
Why am I drawing?
Stephen
Stephen Douglas.
All right, congratulations and kudos to Mr. Douglas for an awesome reporting system, and I hope the principals could replicate it, because looking at these numbers, and it appears that we're in nirvana and only 33% of our schools are experiencing bullying, which in reality, we all are aware that it's definitely not the case. So there is a lot of children that are suffering in silence that need to be brought to attention, and following the model Mr. Douglas is using might be.
I think you're correct. So this page is what I really concentrate on, because this is the allegations page where people bring forth their feelings about being bullied, right? So the substantiated cases, I do like that number low, even though people don't agree with me on that, but I do like that number low, because that student is forever labeled as a bully with the state. So that has holds a bigger threshold of whether or not we deem someone as being a bully, because they're forever known for the state as that. And I, as a parent of two, I would want someone to do their due diligence to make sure that it's officially bullying before my kid's name is labeled bully with the state. So that this page, the allegations, I would like that number to beef up, and every school should be represented on this, times 8 on here. It should be every school represented on here. But when we get to the allegations of the actual substantiated cases, I think that number is low, but it should remain low if we're investigating correctly. But we can talk about that.
I have a comment. So when you say labeled at the state, do parents understand? I mean, it is what it is once they figure it out, but do parents understand that that's something that follows their kid? Or is it presented like that? Because my mom would probably be flipping out but I don't know if parents know that, or maybe they do.
So when you do the bully investigation, there's a bunch of steps that you go through. And the reason why we have the allegations page in Power School, it's going to be a little technical, but in Power School, we have the allegations page. And once there's increasing numbers of people on a student's allegations page, that speaks to the actual bully plea. So if there's multiple allegations, that means it's repeated from the definition and pervasive. So then we would go to do the investigation. We would meet with the parents several times, provide interventions, so they know where it's going if they're not helping the school to work with that student.
And then I have one more question. With that being said, if the district in itself, and maybe I don't understand this, but if the district realizes that there's an issue with that child, and maybe this is probably further in your presentation, what are the steps with either moving that child to another school, or what is it? Because I had a parent reach out to me, and her concern was, my child's going through this. Now I'm being told that my child's gonna be sent to a secondary school, and she doesn't want her child there for whatever reason. But what is the process for that? It has to be extremely extreme for it to get to that?
No, so every case is individualized, but I think that you're talking about a case where if there's two students that really can't get along, or if a student is bullying another student, we then would take that by a case-by-case basis. And if that student is being really egregious, and it speaks to that language in the law, that if the student is bullying multiple students, or if the student is bullying that student and relentlessly bullying that student, we have moved students from another school to another school. And it's not just a surprise, though. We've been working with that family ongoing before we say this kid needs an alternative environment besides his own school.
Because she had mentioned that it was like a school outside of our district.
Oh, no,
so I just I don't think that's possible, but I will ask.
Right.
And so I took the opportunity.
That might be different. And then she may need to ask some questions to the staff about what that means. And if she needs me to get involved to figure it out for her, we need to do that because that sounds different.
Yeah, so I was like, I don't think that's possible, but I'm glad that we're having this conversation so I know how she should, direct her of where she should move forward. So, yeah.
And a lot of parents don't know what bullying is, so they'll come to the school if their kid is coming home saying they're bullied, with that in their mind that my kid's being bullied, my kid is being bullied. Sometimes when you talk about what the definition really is, they could be being harassed, they could be like a lot of different things could be happening, or it could be mutual combat too, where I talked about you on Snapchat, you talked about me on Snapchat, you got me good, so now I'm being bullied. So we work with the parent to decide what that is.
Got it. There's someone behind.
Oh, sorry.
Going back about your bullying allegation, I know you say like a low number is good, but I'm worried about that because I know, like you see, some school, they say 1, they say 3, they say 2.
Are you
And
still on the allegation page?
yeah,
Okay.
that one you have in front.
Well, this is the one I said should be higher.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, I worry about, about the numbers, but you said it's, it's good not to get bullying. But when I see low numbers, I worry because I know school sometimes. We got bullying. What is you want to point that you say sometimes we have to explain to parents and explain to students you want to meet bullying. Not bullying all the time, like you say, Snapchat, because you say this, I'm gonna, But question, when it's about when it's bullying inside the school, you guys do the protocol.
Yes.
But when it's bullying out the school and come back inside the school, what's gonna happen?
Oh, same thing. So it's almost like if a fight occurs outside of the school and that behavior is brought into the school, it's the same situation. So if someone's being bullied, usually that's the case though, that it's happened online, and then they bring in the information, they present it to us, we do the investigation, it's happening the same exact way.
Okay.
But what I was gonna say was, I think this slide should be higher.
Yeah.
This is the allegation. This is just a kid feeling that they've been aggrieved. They're coming to talk to an adult in the building, and it's reported on this page. This is the one I said should be higher.
Yes.
I'm talking about when we've done a whole investigation, and then we then send that name to the state saying, this particular child is labeled a bully. That's what I'm talking.
Thanks, sir. No, I didn't recognize you. Hold on 1 second. Nope. Hold on 1 second, please. I got the members first. Akeisha, you have any
Oh,
comments,
no
questions?
questions, thank you.
Did Joe solve it?
No.
All right, I have a question, but let me finish this report and I'll go back to you.
Okay, so this, so I went over this. This is the overtime in December. So it'll rise as we go on to the end of the year. This is the substantiated bully by school. So we have 5 schools represented here. There's something called protected class. There's a column protected class and non-protected class. Protected class simply means that they were discriminated against because of the discriminated categories, such as race, gender, religious preferences, those type of things. So if you're, or special ed is also one. So if you're discriminated against by any of those things, it goes under this, and we have 2 in the protected class, and we have 7 in the non-protected class. Those names are now with the state. This is substantiated cases by December, by year. So we had 4 in 2020. Keep in mind that that was during the COVID year. We had 14 last school year at this time, and we have 9 currently now, substantiated cases. And this is the racial breakdown of cases by school and by protected class. So we have aerospace and information technology, IT, with 2 protected class students. Non-protected class are the rest of them. 4 females, 5 males, which I think is interesting. Right, because girl, okay, let me not get into that. So for Hispanic, 5 African-American, and 9 total substantiated bully cases. Anything else?
Any question, Ms. Brown?
Nope, Joe.
All right, you pointed out the interesting case of males being more than the females based on, I guess, the demographics of this, having a few more females. But now we slide over to the African-American substantiated cases, and we got 5 as opposed to 4 in the Hispanic, when African-American population, I believe, is about 22%, and our Hispanic population is about 40%. There's a disparity right there.
There is.
And And I know it's low numbers, but even with all the unreported, if it all follows the same trajectory and the same path, the numbers are gonna bear out probably the same way and have that disparity leading towards African Americans being bullied disproportionately.
Will be disproportionately labeled as a bully.
Oh, labeled as a bully. Okay, so we're tracking bullies or we tracking?
This is racial breakdown according to the actual, I hate the term bully, the bully. The bully.
Okay. I always get that backwards. I don't know.
We need to find a different name for that.
So what? So now this is good, yeah, because there's two different ways to look at it. If the bullier is disproportionately being perceived as African American and the bully, so the ways to address the problem are different, as opposed to victimology versus the other side of the coin. Now, could it be that we're over-identifying, under-identifying? Is there specific challenges within that group that's causing that group to lash out more or what have you? Is there different supports that group needs to prevent the behavior on either side or prevent it from happening or being done? But I just noticed there's a very big disproportionality.
I see that. So we can, once we do the whole, presentation to the principals, we can talk about like, all the implicit bias and all those kind of things.
Yes.
Go along with those kind of things. I think the numbers are too low to have a good sample size, but I see where you're going with that it is, interesting that, it's above, the rate, but, that's something we can look at. And the schools itself, who's actually referring those African Americans and the Hispanic students as well.
Right. Okay. Uncomfortable conversation out the way.
Not to me. And this is the racial breakdown with the allegations page. So let's see if there's a difference here. So we have. I couldn't fit all the information up. How can get?
So what she said?
She wants to make it bigger.
In the same.
I can give you a copy of that. So
Well, I'll read it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a screen. Yeah.
So of the allegations, there were 17 female students reported being bullied, 22 males, which I find interesting as well. One American Indian, 15 African Americans reported being bullied, 4 white students, and 2 or more race students, 2. So Hispanic 17. So that's 39 altogether. 15, 17. So there's a opposite, 17 more Hispanics report being bullied and 15 for the African Americans. So it's the opposite of the substantiated case.
And then, not so much, even though you got a bigger I'm sorry, it's cut in. Although you got a bigger sample size here.
Right.
But it's still a disparity. It's still a disparity when you look at the percentage wise rather than the raw number wise of the population. So you still have a disproportionality of the bullied on the African American side, as far as the Hispanic side. Is it possible? Do we ever get a breakdown of like? I'm trying to frame it right without the bullier and the bullying and the race of each, and is it race to race or? Is it...
That we haven't done, but I think that we can do that.
Would it be valuable?
So, I don't know. I don't know. I would be interested in all this.
It might be, but I don't know.
I don't know if you feel it would be worth the resources involved.
Well, I don't know if we can capture that number, and I'll tell you why. So when we do the bully investigation, the actual race is not on the bully investigation. So, right. So when we I have to close my eyes and think about it. So when we actually get the number, this number is what the person is putting in PowerSchool. It's not the actual bully investigation piece, but we would have to do some digging to get the actual work.
So then my question would be, to Joe's point, is the form in itself anonymous or that's being tracked by the student that's putting it on PowerSchool? So if it's put on PowerSchool, doesn't that track the individual student? So you would know who's reporting it to determine their nationality or?
You're correct. Allegations, we would know that. But when it gets to substantiated cases, the way it's logged into Power School is that it goes into the demographics and you choose whether it's bullying or not. So you can't determine whether or not the race of that student at that point.
Got it. And I'm also thinking if some of them are anonymous, are they anonymous or they have to?
Well, the reporting is anonymous, but when they do the investigation, there's a what is it called? A disclosure sheet.
Yeah.
Where a parent signs that it's not anonymous anymore.
Okay.
Just in case we have to involve police, they have to be able to speak to the student, they have to be able to speak to the parent or the other parent. So at that point, it's not anonymous.
Got it. Okay.
You have any question, Mr. Cruz?
Question.
I think he was waiting till after the question.
Yeah, I'm going over there. I'm trying to speak.
No.
I'll open the question for the floor. I know, and you have to understand, I don't know, you know, guys, I need to recognize you because I have first a question here and everything, and then I will listen to you. But you give me time and in his presentation, and then I ask you your question. You have the floor. You have any question?
How many allegations it takes for them to go to the state as a bully?
Well, so there's no number of allegations, but when you do the investigation, it's about what occurred.
So it is.
Mhm. Yeah, or like if the allegations are, I hit Melissa today and then I came back and hit her again. That's different from I teased her one day and then I hit her the next day. So it's taken on an individual basis. So it's not the amount. It's about what actually occurred during that issue. And then when it mounts, we do the investigation, clear the investigation, meet with both the parents and the students, and then we determine whether or not that reaches the level of being labeled a bully.
Right. So just one more thing.
Uh-huh.
So due to it being so low this year, they got restorative practices. So when a kid is first going through something, they go work it out with restorative practice. So that's why it's so low this year due to the schools and any other year. Because they deal with.
That's a good point.
Good point. Yeah.
And waiting to deal with the bullying.
Yeah.
Days later and give a child enough time to go home and talk to their mom, they get to go sit with somebody now.
Mm-hmm.
These ladies back here who's going to restorative practice and learn how to deal with the problem first before it turns into bullying today. So that's why the numbers are low. Just to put it out there.
Can you please tell for the record for John, what's your name and what school you represent?
My name's Samantha Cheatham.
What school?
Cross.
I know that you have
You have to.
your name. Can you have to close this off for the record, please?
I figured you probably already went over this, but I was.
Can you introduce yourself, please?
Oh, hi, Kat Morris. I was wondering, how you kind of just alluded to this, but how are you distinguishing between like relational aggression, which is like typical amongst girls, and then like physical aggression? And then with respect to the race, how is this factoring in mixed race? And then also just like, I don't know, cultural distinctions between like, is Dominican Black or Hispanic or both? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how are you accounting for that before trying to calculate, disparities?
Right, so race is different from ethnicity. So when you have the categories, these are the legal categories. So it's Black, white, not Hispanic, those type of things. So we didn't even go into ethnicity. That's a whole nother can of worms. That's a whole, because everyone is different. Like even from the east end to the north end, you're different if you're Black. So that would be a wormhole. But I forgot your other two questions. They were really good though. The first one.
Just like with, the lines of what constitutes bullying in terms of relational aggression versus physical aggression.
See, I think we're losing sight of either one could be determined as bullying. It's the intent behind it. So if if Albert is messing with me every day on the bus.
Yeah. Something he would do.
Something he would do. He has been able to bully me in the past, but if he's messing with me every day on the bus, over time, that could be labeled as bullying. If he hits me once because I said something to him, that's not bullying. That's me starting it and I got the worst end of it. Or if he calls me a name, I call him a name, that's mutual combat. That's not bullying. And I think that's where people break it down. Where if I keep bothering Albert and keep bothering Albert and keep bothering Albert, I'm bullying Albert. But he's not going to stand for it. See, he's got the word.
So then I kind of have a follow-up. Is intimate partner violence factored into this?
That it depends. So that could be a crime. That's something totally separate.
Yeah.
And so we would have to investigate that totally different. Yeah. But it's good questions. I like her.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other question? On other question? So you could keep forward. Ms. Brown, you have any more questions?
No.
No. Ms. Perrin, Dr. Morgan, Mr. Plana? You sure? No. No. Thank you so much. I appreciate your presentation. Thank you. All right, next in the agenda, my favorite part. We having our PAC and PTSO update budget. I have Ms. Lynn and Ms. Russia. You can come in front, please. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you. Parent involvement. Updates.
And you think I know? Okay, thank you. Ms. Russia and Ms. Lynn, the floor is yours. We'd like to some update for the, the budget, how far they go, and they spend the money, please, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll go quickly because, we have some parents here to share their individual, but we'll start with the good news. We are 100% submitted, approved for parent involvement
Good.
action plans.
Yes.
And we'll highlight some bright spots for as far as allocations. I know it's small, but I think you have a little bit of a bigger handout. So 9 schools are approaching or at the benchmark, which we'll get into those benchmarks for percent used. 5 schools are exceeding the benchmark, and 1 school has used 100% of their allocation.
Right?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
You did your homework.
I did.
High schools, we have an average of 20.7% used. So we are a little bit below for the high schools where we want to be. But continuing to put in the support and the resources to help make sure. And I think typically right now there's a lot of planning happening. And then once we come back, the weather hopefully gets a little bit warmer as soon as possible. And we'll be able to plan some more events and hope to have some outdoor events.
I can tell you a little about the high school that I know some high school already contact them and they really submit a lot of, Form B10, Form MAG, everything this week. So I know for the next time, the number's gonna be different.
It's moving.
Yeah, it's moving, yeah.
Definitely. So this is where we want to be. As of January 1st, we want to be at 65%. So we're about 2 weeks into December. And so, between that 40 and 65, we should be approaching 65% in the next 2 weeks. When we get back, we'll run another report and hopefully we're there.
Okay.
Again, we reviewed this last time, but just for anyone who's new, we have a lot of support available. And I don't know if you want to go over this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, this really targets the areas that Carly and I recognize as high need areas for the PAC PTSOs. So ensuring that we had a resource where parents could go to find information. So we house all of the documents and information, vendors, the bylaws are housed in our team. I have a PAC email distribution list so that I can quickly email PAC presidents and parent leaders. We have our roundtable, which we'll talk about a little bit more in the next slide. On a monthly basis to inform parents, to get feedback and have conversations, one-on-one support with budgeting. That's something that we've really advanced on this year. So we have a lot of conversations around the P10 and working on a process guide for what the process is from the time that you place an order until you receive that order, because there's lots of questions about what happens when that order is initiated, excuse me. And then lastly, just directly reaching out to parents to see how we can support them on a regular basis.
As we mentioned, our PAC and PTSO roundtables, monthly basis. We have our dates for the entire school year, but as Lynn and I have mentioned before, we're moving them around the district to different locations to make sure that it is accessible to all of our families.
And in addition to moving around to different locations, we also are taking parent feedback on the types of information that they would like to hear. And, Ms. Cheatham, you just made my night by talking about restorative practices, because Ms. Cheatham was at the roundtable. We talked about restorative practices. And we're seeing and hearing that parents are listening and they're sharing that information and making connections. That was just amazing. So thank you. And, you know, we've received feedback that we need to have more conversations about restorative practices. So, you know, at an upcoming Board of Ed meeting, you'll see probably another roundtable flyer that talks about the Board of Education or restorative practices. I just want to point out too that the upper right-hand parent roundtable flyer was actually created by one of our parents in the district because she had some constructive criticism for us about our flyers. She told us that, you know, they needed to be a little bit more direct. They needed to follow a consistent format. They needed to host the information that parents really needed to know right at front and center. So she created that flyer and we'll be using that for upcoming meetings as well.
Power to her, right?
Yeah, she did a great job. And this actually refers to that roundtable that I was mentioning that Ms. Cheatham attended. I think that the working agreement that you see on the left is just amazing, and it really speaks to what Carly and I are trying to do with the roundtable. So this working agreement was created with parents, with Board of Education members, and with BPS staff at the roundtable. So they all came up with this agreement, and I think it really represents not just the roundtable, but how we want to work together as a community. So first thing they said, we need to have more forums like this for conversation. We need to keep students front and center at the top of our discussion. We need to respect each other's differences. We need to put into practice what we're talking about, and we need to think outside the box. I mean, that's just so rich. And the way that we can do this is by being open-minded, making the time for this conversation, partnering up, collaborating, and improving communication. And I think that says it all right there. And really, again, these roundtables are just to be able to share information with parents, to allow for questions to be asked, and to help us to inform change. And the last thing I just want to mention is that this the fundamental hypothesis of restorative practices, which I think really, again, speaks to this, is that human beings are happier, more cooperative and productive, and more likely to make positive changes in their behavior when those in positions of authority do things with them rather than to them. Thank you. I need to work on my glasses, or for them. And I think that that's really what we're talking about here, is that we need to work together. Whether it's a perceived position of power or an actual position of power, that we need to be working not just restoratively with our students, but staff member to staff member and parents with staff members as well.
And finally, just our community events that were just held. We had a coat drive at Cesar Battaglia, and we gave away about 200 to 250 coats. So a lot of our staff was there to help us. Albert as well came to support. And we also invited our community partners there to talk about the resources available in our community, you know, show the families that there's a lot of resources here for them. And it was a really great turnout. We also are working on our uniform giveaway through LEAP, purchasing the uniforms, making sure that if any student is identified as a uniform being a barrier to attendance, that those uniforms are given out directly to those families. And then on this past Saturday, our meal kit giveaway at Marin School, we gave away 250 2-day for a family of 4 meal kits, as well as, and we incorporated the event with the Marin School because they were already having an event that day, but we also made sure that it was equitable across the district. And so we had our LEAP home visitors come and pick up meal kits for their families. So it went to our Marin families, but it also went to all of the families that we were able to support that have been identified and working with a LEAP home visitor.
Nice.
And that's it.
Good job. Good job.
Any questions?
Yes, I want to support.
Okay.
For me.
Joe, you have questions?
A couple of comments and questions. Still got 1, 2, 3 schools at 0 and 1 school under 5% expenditures, and we almost at halftime. Because I'm concerned about that.
That 5% by high school, they will change.
Right.
They will change ultimately. They already sent submit all the documents, I believe, today. So trust me on that.
Okay, awesome.
And we'll continue to work with those schools that are identified as being low. And a notice was just sent to all of the administrators from our grants department with all this information. So it was a nice reminder for them. And I think that we'll continue to see those numbers.
And I'm also concerned about a couple of schools without the school governance councils. In particular, one of our schools looking to get into the commissioners network, and part of the commissioners network, they need to work with the school governance council.
Right.
And if they don't have a school governance council, I'm concerned that they may get rejected. So you could probably
absolutely
give them some assistance in getting that school governance council up and running, so you don't run into any problems with getting them involved with the commissioners network and getting the sports the schools so clearly needs.
Definitely.
One of the things I want to talk is, I know you send the formats, but the P10, and I give it to Ms. Perrin. The form, the P10, I'm using that P10 for almost 20 years. Why? Because that's the way all the PAC leaders and PAC PTA, so they can know what they order, where they come from, how much money they got. So that P10 had to be signed from the principal and the PAC and PTA. So, and I would like to help, and you guys be, help to the PAC leaders, because I want they know what is P10, how everything though. I just gave it one copy, Ms. Perry, for the P10, so you can see it, you can review, because it's very important. Because I some school, they use the money from the PAC and PTSO, we're not letting know the PAC. And that's gonna happen because that money belongs for the parents. Money belongs to the workshops. Not only that money belongs to buy stuff for school, stuff for the parents. Now, first of all, the priority is this workshop, how to help and educate our parents. So that's why we have to be careful. That's why I'm always ask you, maybe the sheet, where the vendors and everything, working, who they are, what the reason you buy this, this is belong to it's educate for the parents and not, stuff like that. Because I don't want to use the money for things we're not educate parents. We always trying to help the parents. And when I don't see they don't educate the parent the way it's supposed to be and use the money to help the parents, I don't like that. I really get upset, and that's why I email you guys and let you know, this is what happened, what's going on with this, so. I really don't appreciate when some school, they use the parent money.
Right.
And that's why the money is there. Because I know you send the form stack, the parent engagement, the one you send, but it's another P10. I believe, the one I want the PAC leaders and PTA, so leaders they have. I know they do a lot of things, but I know this is a position they don't get paid. But if they want to be a PAC president, PTSO president, they need to follow the P10. Why? Because from there, they know what they order, and then the principal and the leader sign. If let's see the school, the principals order something, we're not letting know the PAC and PTSO leader. You can go with the P10 and say, okay, where's the document? I never signed for this. I never gave permission for that. Why you use the money from my parents? So that's why that is something we can have in record, and I use it for so many, and they work very, very, very fine. So it's something that I want Ms. Perrin, do you speak with your principals? And, I'll give you a copy because I want the P10 be out for the PAC leaders. We can help them. We can show them how everything do. It's very something easy. It's not something it's hard to do it now. So, you have any questions, Ms.
I'm sorry, I'm cold.
No, I feel like I'm outside. I don't know what's going on here. I know.
No, but yeah, I'm all set. Everything that he said, but I am happy to see that we're doing really well with just spinning down. So, yeah.
Do you have any questions?
I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Keisha, you have any questions?
No questions, thank you.
So I'm gonna follow what in the agenda say about PAC and PTSO election. Why I ask her this, because I know they have some elections and I don't see parents know. I see principal, they will make a decision who's gonna be the PAC, who's gonna be the president, vice president. I just wanna know, they give you information. When the election was, who was the committee, because for Harvard election, you have to have a committee, parent committee, vote for the parents. When they did the election and how everything was the process.
Yes, so we did send that requested information from the administrators. We're collecting it. I believe Arlene sent you what we have so far. but we are continuing to collect it. I sent it to her.
No, she didn't send it yet.
Okay, I can send it to Ms. Perrin and she can send it
Yeah.
over. But we have collected a good amount of responses so far. And so we can send you what we have collected so far, and then we'll continue to reach out to the administrators to collect that information.
Yeah, because for the dual elections, it's have to be a parent from the school, have to have the committee. And then from the committee, they will run the election, and whoever gonna run president, vice president, secretary, member, large bilingual secretary, they have to vote in an apartment, why the reason they want to be, not because you want to, or because the school is rushing, or because downtown's rushing, you have to have the pack and stuff like that. Everybody's welcome to run any position, but I don't want any parent go there and get lost. They don't train them, they don't help them, I don't want parents get lost. That's very important, That's why I had almost 20 years in doing this. So that's why I'm always here trying to help them, to be sure, guide them the way it's supposed to.
Right.
It's very important. I want to know the election for this school. When they, who running, who was the committee, when they start, and everything. So the process, it's a process out. Another one is, what is it? Is that? Yeah, the other one is the package. So thank you, Ms. Lynn. Thank you, Ms. Russia. I really appreciate that. Thank you for your time. And people, please don't wait for the food. If you want to go eat, it's really from here. It's very hot.
I believe she had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
With y'all, so
Can you, for the record?
just moving, like referencing a prior, the first agenda point, then would y'all be good people to collaborate with in terms of building out the type of forum that BASIC students and BMA students are looking for?
Sure. Sure. So between Lynn and I, we do parent partnerships and community partnerships. And so I think that probably sounds like it would fall under those two areas. So absolutely, we're more than happy to sit with you, to talk about what you're working on, how we can collaborate. Definitely.
Okay, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I can give you my information.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
And then just on the last agenda point, I was just curious about just like how do we prevent that, like, and maybe I misunderstood, but I heard that like once a case is substantiated and someone's a bully, then that can be turned over to the state, and then now they're like forever listed as a bully.
Oh, that's.
Yeah, is that accurate?
I didn't know.
So once a case is substantiated and the name goes to the state, there's no way to retract that.
No.
Once it's there, it's.
Yeah, so I guess that my concern would just be if like the concern of that worsening the school to prison pipeline.
Oh, absolutely. It's after my dissertation about that, but yes, it does, it does contribute to the pipeline. That's why it's important to investigate that thoroughly before we give a name of someone, because it really doesn't do anything but, empower that person to continue what they're doing. Because now that your name is to the state, what is there to prevent you from continuing that on?
Yeah.
We do provide interventions.
Okay.
All right.
And there's no
Thank you.
restorative, like, you did restoration, now your name is off the list, or restored is added to your name. Like, how do you?
No, that's state.
All right, thank you. Well, the next and then the agenda, thank you, Ms. Lynn, thank you, Ms. Rocha, I appreciate that. Please be free, enjoy the Christmas, meal. Next one that we have, the one that everybody's waiting for, I'm gonna call Thomas Hooker for the principal, and I believe it's the leaders here. Yeah, sit down. Thank you so much for being here.
For having me.
Thank you for your time. Sorry, try to run it as soon as possible.
I'm Giovanna Ramos. I'm the school principal at Thomas Hooker School. Sherry Russell, the PAC president of Thomas Hooker School. So we'll provide you with a little summary and then can ask questions. Sherry Russell is the PAC president of Thomas Hooker School. Conrad Severo is the vice president. Tasha Severo is the secretary. Catherine Peralta is the treasurer. Wendy Martindale is a member at large. Sarah Malozzi is a member at large. Andrea Moreno is a member at large. My PAC is very involved in the Thomas Hooker School community. They host their PAC events in addition to collaborating with my school-wide events. They have met as a PAC executive board on October 12th and November 9th so far. Additionally, we had a December PAC meeting on December 13th at 5:30 p.m. There was also a PAC meeting on October 26th. On October 28th, we collaborated to host our annual costume parade and trunk or treat. This was school-wide, pre-K to 8. We did not have a November PAC meeting because the PAC hosted a fall festival on November 19th. We submitted our PAC action plan by the deadline date and it was approved. We are working on spending. As of right now, we have 2 P10s pending for $500. We are working on spending more. We always spend our money every year. So even though our number is not where it should be right now, it will be. The PAC was present at my fall report card conferences. They set up a table. They were there to answer questions, hand out flyers, and to get a sign-up sheet. They were also at our open house in September. Our PAC is very visible, present, and active at Thomas Hooker School. On December 10th, we also had a holiday brunch, and they were assisting with that event as well. I did send some photos to be shared if that's allowed. And we send a lot of photos. Our school was actually represented on the school website, the Bridgeport Board of Ed website. I'm always sending pictures to the superintendent support staff and Lynn Stevens. We have been represented in the newsletters for the school counselor family engagement newsletter. Our photo was present. We are a very busy pre-K to 8 school that offers many opportunities for parents to come in since we host many events. Parents have the opportunity to come into our school at least once a month, if not more. They can come have lunch with their students during the lunch waves. They can come and volunteer in any classroom they would like. They can come read. We have Parent Square we use a lot to inform parents of all our events. And we just, we really offer as many opportunities as we can, at least monthly. I don't know. Anne, did you receive my photos by any chance via email? In your email?
For us,
No?
the package,
Okay.
we receive it.
Did you get it?
Yeah, we
Okay,
got it,
great.
yeah. We appreciate it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, thank you. But, Ms. Sherry, you have anything how's your PAC? How's your communication? How you working with your principal? How you working with your parents? How everything's going?
Everything is going fine. We had a little setback with the P10s, but we're working on correcting that and getting that processed. So that is, like she said, why it hasn't been spent. The events that we have held was basically on donations that all the parents have provided. So we were able to have those events that we had in the past. We do have a full packed agenda for the rest of the year. So you'll see some more P10s coming through. Yeah, and it will be spent.
That's good because I know in the report, you see, they say, that, it's not expensive yet, but like I said, I know for the next month, you guys, the number's gonna be, there's gonna be different.
Yeah. 100%.
As the parents coming to your events, the percent.
I feel like, the last one was a little bit low, but usually it's a good turnout. Like the October one that we did for the costume parade and the trunk or treat, that was a great turnout for parents because it was like 12 to 15 cars.
Wow.
That were decorated. I think, the one in the fall festival was maybe a little not that great because it was the week before Thanksgiving. So that was a learning moment for us as PAC, maybe not have it the weekend before Thanksgiving. But usually, the turnout is pretty good.
I want to open the floor to the committee for the staff. Ms. Brown, do you have any question?
No questions, just a comment. Keep up the good work. The PAC, well, for this particular committee, the PAC is like a big thing for us here. And we've watched, since I've been on the board, just watch it just grow with all of the parent participation. And this is one thing I never thought about, but I know that we have parent elections and things like that, but it would be really great for all of the new PAC presidents, not have a succession plan, but be grooming or help inspire the
Oh, yeah,
next parent to step up?
We kind of have that in
Okay,
plan
good.
too in the
Yeah, I
works.
meant to mention it last time, but it's always good because I know that, last year we were struggling with just trying to find people to step up, but just knowing that there's someone.
We have a succession plan,
Good,
yep, for
good,
next
good.
year.
Okay. All right, that's all.
With Ms. Russell, I just want to add that, she has a full committee on her exec board and her meetings run really well with an agenda. And I tell them all the time, they get things done. They're really involved and they just make things happen. And she's really been a positive influence on just making that happen and really recruiting parents for events and being very visible. So I think she's done a great job making that happen this school year and last school year.
That's good. That's good. I really appreciate that. And that's the most important thing that I want to send the message out that the principals and PAC leaders and PTSO have a good communication. They can work it together. Because, our children, our staff, our parents is watching and they don't see you, the principal, vice of the building, and you represent the parents from the school, and they don't see they have like a communication. Parents are going to say, okay, why the reason I'm going to school? Why the reason I have to be talking to them? If they don't like each other, I cannot be working, So that's good, and that's why I want to have, nothing is perfect, things go up and down. But like I say, if you have good communication with your principal and you let them know your principal as a PAC leader, listen, I'm having this event, this is the date. Of course, you gotta let her know so they don't conflict, things, stuff like that. But after that, you run your meeting the way it is, you spend the money the way it is. And like I said, you spend the money, educate for the parent the way it is, So, and I appreciate that. Thank you for your time. I know, time is running so fast, but I appreciate it, So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You got them.
Hold on a second. Hold on, sorry.
I gotta give the speech.
Okay.
I gotta give the speech. Every principal,
I know.
they all gotta get the same speech.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it look like I'm picking up people.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Mr. Benahan, we've been for years and years. When we first got involved with the board, one of the first things that came up was schools weren't spending their money. Not in December, not already having events. It's not particularly to you. Every staff member, every principal has got this meeting. And at the end of the year, we still had schools spending zero. And so me and Mr. Benahan and to the rest of the board at the time, leaving money on the table is a lost opportunity to engage with a parent. And as we know, parents' involvement is one of the best indicators of success. And the non-expenditure in certain buildings would show that's a lack of effort. The easiest thing in the world is to tell a parent, hey, we're gonna cook you dinner. We'll have dinner, you don't gotta cook, come on out, come to this event, and you get some people. And we started pressuring the superintendent, two superintendents back. We started this process, making it part of their evaluation so they could get on their employees, because we only have one employee, and we, as a board, find parental engagement needs to be increased in this district phenomenally, and we got to try. And as parent leaders, we know that it's not always going to be successful, but the efforts could definitely be measured. And one of the ways we can measure the effort is the expenditures of the dollars and the number of meetings held and vice versa. And then after I gave the speech, I got a couple of questions. Do you have a parent room for your PAC team to meet in?
Yes, they do.
And as far as the P10s, it's an engagement between the principal and partnership. It's not a supervisor. Only time the principal could veto an event if it doesn't have an educational component. It's driven by the PAC leaders, correct, Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
And that's all I got. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for stepping up and doing this service. I came up through the school governance council. His man was on the PAC. My wife's involved with the PAC in the PTSO in the high school now, and it's tough work. It's not easy. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mr. Kisha, you have any questions?
Just a comment. Thank you for all your hard work. I remember when my children were little and I volunteered in school. This brings me back to when I had no money. I said, okay, I don't have any money to donate, but what else can I do as a parent? And I remember going on field trips and reading books to the class and helping the teachers out. So just having all of these options for parents to be involved is wonderful. And I just want to say thank you for your work.
Also, whoever school you next to you, let's say you can cooperate, you can work together too.
Okay.
I don't know what school right now is next to you, but just in case you can, let's say, talk with the PAC leader and you talk with the principal and they say, listen, we can do this workshop together, something, maybe you can bring more parents and stuff like that. Yeah. Dr. Morgan?
Yeah, so we have some wonderful pictures to show you of an event that was at Hooker School. The last set of pictures you sent me, Sam has them.
Okay.
Just to show you how the parents are engaged there.
That's good. That's what I,
Does a really
that's what I
good job of that. Yeah, she does an excellent job with her events. She always has them. They're always well attended.
Yeah.
So
that's
To give her
the one
kudos for
made
that.
me happy, and that's what I want to see, and that's what the message I want to send to all the leaders, in principle, when you got parents involved and working together as a team, like a family, that's what I really want. All right, thank you, Ms. Ramos. I appreciate it, Ms. Sherry. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
You're always gonna be here while you help. Right.
So put a Facebook meeting.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda, we have in Grizzly School, one of my favorite schools. Love it. Can you please come up forward? Thank you. Thank you for being here. Where's the no?
We have it, we got it, we got it, we got it.
Okay.
We got
I want to be sure.
Absolutely.
There's this girl, I didn't even know that was you.
Thank you for here for tonight. Appreciate, the time. Where'd you go? So the floor is yours, maybe, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
My name is Tiffany Ladson Lang. I am the principal at Beardsley School, and along with me, I have Krista Bonilla, our school's PAC president, as well as Nuri Joseph, our school vice president. We begun this relationship as soon as I got on board at Beardsley School, and they are actually phenomenal leaders of a wonderful PAC. And I'm actually confident with the leaders today that they'll be presenting to the committee this evening. So I'm going to yield the floor to our president. Okay, my name is Krista Bonilla. I am the Beardsley School president, PAC president. We currently have 7 PAC members, and our general members are not present today, but it is me and our vice president, Nuri.
So I'll just go over our general members. We have 7 members: Quintisha Pierce, Diamond Rivera, she's our bilingual translator, Rakisha Rowe, DePaul Event, and Tommy Mitchell. We do have an active member. Her name is also Crystal Mitchell. They are married, so Tommy relays all the messages to her when she can't attend the meetings. We have a PAC goal at our school, which is to assist parents to play an integral role in assisting their child's learning, encourage parents to be actively involved in their child's education at school, promote family literacy and parenting skills. Our main goal is to target parents to be involved in their kids' learning through fun activities that we can host at the school. So far, we had a couple events. I did not put this on the list, but I will talk about the last event we just had. So the events we had from fall 2022 to last week, we had back to school picnic in September, which was a great event. We had over 350 with students, parents come to the event. We had Parents Fair Workshop, which was a workshop to help parents learn how to use the app, because there's a lot of parents at our school who are not tech savvy, but we are trying to get them to use the app, because our principal posts every day on Parent Square and reminds families at 7:30, bring your child to school, because it is very important. And then we had our.
It's good the way you say every day.
Faithfully.
And we had Trunk or Treat in October. That was an amazing event. My child still till this day said that is the best event he has ever gone to. And can we have it again?
Just to mention, this is Beardsley School's first trunk or treat ever. They've never held a trunk or treat.
Yeah.
This was the first year we've held a trunk or treat. We had about 20 cars, donations from families. It was during the day, so it was just for our school base. They had a costume parade in the school. They were able to come in our secluded parking lot area, and it was an amazing turnout.
We had school teachers dress out. Our principal also dressed up. It was a great event. And then our November event, we had turkey bingo. We had turkeys donated from our, is that our volunteer church? And then we also had pre-packed foods from, what was the church name?
Church of Sorority.
No, it was the church. Zion?
Walters Memorial, AME Zion.
at church. And then PAC also held an event with our school's SGC event where we had played the game bingo, and that's how families won the turkey. And kids were in the back doing fall crafts. And our last event we had for December was holiday sing-along where parents came in their holiday pajamas. We had holiday cookies, hot cocoa, and we sang holiday songs. And we also have monthly PAC meeting with our PAC members, which is also open to the entire school. And then we almost have it feels like weekly meeting with our principal to go over everything that's going on.
Yes, we communicate a lot to go over all the things we do plan to have. We have a bunch of up and coming events for the new year. We have two things planned for January, which will be our safety meeting and our awards night.
You want to tell them what safety meeting is?
You can.
Our safety meeting is when we are going to tell parents, this was actually requested because we did it last year, right after the shooting that happened in Texas, to tell parents what is our safety measures, what do we do in the building in case something happens. And this, we're going to continue on with it this year, January 11th. So parents know exactly, the new parents for kindergarten and preschoolers, or even new parents that's in the older grades, know what is expected from the staff and where their children will be in case they do have to evacuate the building.
Nice. So then we have the awards night, which will have an event for the kids, and it'll be a movie night, and lots of fun for our parents to join. In February, we have a love language workshop set up, which we actually did the beginning of this year, and it was a great turnout. And it was how to love your kid in their love language. So, and how to identify your own love languages, because it's important to show someone you love them, but also in the way that they are receiving it. So we had it last year and it was a great the beginning of this year, and it was a great turnout. So we did bring it back this year. We also have literature night where we're gonna be reading Bad Seed. We have another event, Fostering Self-Esteem. Do you wanna touch more on those?
The Fostering Self-Esteem, we're actually hosting it 100 Girls Leading, and we are trying to talk to parents about how to talk to their kids about self-esteem, because some kids might lack that and some kids might actually excel in that. But we want to make sure parents know how to talk to their kids in a way where they're not being shut down and feeling negative about themselves, but wake up in the morning feeling positive, even going to bed like, yeah, I got this. I'm going to go to school tomorrow, loving myself. Even if nobody else loves me, I love myself, and that's good enough. And then we have autism awareness coming up in April. That is very important. As I said, I do have a nephew with autism, and we just want to talk to parents, different type of special needs, or even parents who might have relatives that might not have special needs, but just friends, just how to talk to parents and the community about that. And then science night.
We also plan to have a science night, and that's going to be, we're actually doing a science night with owl pellets. So the kids would be pairing up as teams and dissecting owl pellets. That will be an interesting event. We also have another literature around the world event, which we plan to host in May. You want to go over the care? We also plan for the end of the year, we want to do a caregiver self-care breakfast. The end of last year, which was June of this year, we had end of the year breakfast, which was a big hit. This event was held for the kids and the parents. This year, at the end of the school year, we do want to just hold it for the parents because they deserve to be able to enjoy a nice hot meal and say thank you, whether you're a parent, whether you're a caregiver, aunt, uncle, someone who is part of their support. So we think it's very important to thank them for all the efforts. PAC has helped with, we are very active in the school. We've helped with book fair. We've helped with picture day. We actively, whenever, we are needed, our kids specifically are in first grade. So any little thing that they have, the school is open to us to be able to come in. So we feel welcomed to be able to say, okay, well, look, we're going to have a meeting about this, and the doors are open.
Thank you.
Budget.
Before you keep going, the love language workshop, you had 2 days, February 6th and February 13th. You're gonna do both?
So
It's a two-part.
So yes, so
Two-part.
at the beginning in February this year, we had 4 sessions. We did feel that the 4 sessions were a little prolonged, only because of the parent time, you know, they have to pick up their kids.
Yeah.
So we did want to cut it down into 2 sessions, so she would touch base on the same topics, but just kind of cramming them into 2 sessions instead of 4, because we felt that the parents would come back to both sessions.
Thank you.
In addition, PAC has been really strict with their budget. They've been sending in orders and ensuring that their needs are being met for all of their activities. And so to date, they have encumbered about 80% of their funds, which is really an excellent feat with them looking for the items and sending in the quotes. And we've come up with a great process of ensuring that the communication between PAC and myself, and then the person who is submitting the P10s for them, that there's that approval process going on, so that everybody knows what's been approved by PAC for ordering and what's actually submitted is one and the same. So we're really proud of the fact that they've been able to get in all of their supplies for their P10s at this time.
Thank you. Okay.
Just to mention one last thing, we did start last year with PAC and it was only 3 of us. We now have 7 members. And before us, we
There was
were
no
told that we had no PAC at our school for about 4 years.
Remember?
So, you know, moving forward, we didn't, moving forward, we didn't know anything. We were kind of new. I actually reached out to Albert for more information, and this is year 2, and we have so many events that we've already done that the school has never seen, and so many more events that we plan for our parents and our kids.
I'm very happy, very proud of the PAC and the principal that you guys now finally you have a nice PAC, have a good communication with the parents. I know, like you say, years back, the school have some issue with the PAC, but now you guys is there. You communicate with the principal, good communication. You know, it's like a family. I've been witness to be in your PAC meetings and your PAC event. I said, my God, I feel back at something I have to do other meeting. I'm on the vacation. I said, I miss it. So, and I let them know my board, let them know you guys what you do. When I take pictures, I send it to them. You know, I post it. You know, I mean, your PAC.
You always support us.
Oh,
You
yes,
definitely
we
always
have
support
created
us
a
at all our
PAC
meetings.
Facebook group.
Yeah.
And all of us are administrator, so she knows exactly what's being posted.
Yeah.
And we try to post all our events that we have and take pictures and post it so other parents can see. We only have 18 members. Eventually we'll grow, just like PAC
But you
did.
can only access the group if your child attends Beardsley School.
Yeah.
And they have to answer a certain question. I know recently we had a member from Florida try to join, and I denied it right away because their questions didn't match their answer.
Yeah, I see
So
that.
I was
because
like,
when I tagged Joe and I tagged other board
Yes.
members, so therefore they can see your amazing job.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that would, request, I understand that. But I just want to share that because it's made me so happy, that you guys are
Thank
doing
you.
an amazing job.
Thank you.
You know, I'm very proud, I'm very happy. I hope they keep it like that
Thank
and
you.
and don't go nowhere.
Well, next year, right? Next year is up for election, so I guess.
Right? If your parents they love you, you
Yeah.
can see that.
Okay.
All right. Ms. Brown, you have any questions?
No questions.
Joe, you have any?
Well, I don't have to repeat the speech.
Yeah, go ahead.
And, and this is one of the schools from what I'm hearing is the best practice. I'm kind of glad you didn't bring kids because last time the kids was here, I kind of got rid of it. Most of them.
Yeah.
But this is what we're working towards through the whole district, and it sounds like a true partnership. And I hope it continues, and I hope the whole district replicates this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Lakeisha, you have any?
No questions. Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
And I'm crashing your owl pelt.
Okay.
He just did it. He just did it. He showed me. He put it in our calendar already. So I'm gonna forward this in my calendar too.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that.
Thank you.
And please be free to enjoy the meal.
Thank you.
Next one in, we have in the school, River Cross School. Can you please come forward? Hello. How are you?
How many got there?
I'm done with both.
No, Ms. Cordova, for
Hello.
you. Good to
Well,
see
how
you
are you?
again.
Nice to see you again.
How you doing? Like you heard what, the other one said, just want to know what's going on with you in the school, how the process and everything. I know we have a little meeting, it was very successful. So I just bring you, so for the record, people know how amazing, how the school's going.
All right. So for this school year, Ms. Cheatham and I met in late August to create the action plan and the budget. The action plan and budget was created and emailed to her on September 7th, which was way before the deadline. That was between she and I. We went back and forth. She approved the plan and the budget. It was submitted to the business office ahead of the due date of 10/14, and the budget was approved by the business office on October 25th. Ms. Cheatham was notified. Our climate team met in September and October to put all PAC events and other events on the calendar. The reason why we meet with climate is because since it's climate, they also have events. So we make sure that we don't overlap our evenings and we're not doing the same thing twice. On October 27th, every single AR 100 was requested for the entire school year for all PAC events. I requested Ms. Cheatham review all the events and begin to make a list of items needed to be purchased so that we can begin to obtain quotes and enter orders into the system. Also, PAC meetings were scheduled for the entire year with Ms. Cheatham. We created a flyer with PAC meeting dates and a QR code. So all parents have to do is put that one flyer on the refrigerator, and every month on that date, scan the QR code and it automatically joins them virtually. They do have to be approved for the meeting, however, so not everyone can access it. And that flyer was shared through Facebook, the school website, hard copy, and Parent Square. Ms. Cheatham has also been provided with a school laptop, and she is a presenter for all PAC meetings. Ms. Ford, the parent engagement liaison, assists Ms. Cheatham with PAC meetings and records and shares all meeting minutes. She also follows up with parents who attended to try to keep them connected and involved. Refreshments are provided for PAC meetings. Ms. Cheatham is also a member of the school climate team. She receives all meeting invites, all emails, all minutes, and any other form of communication. And she does attend, I think this year, she has attended all but one because she had to work. Additionally, my school goal, so administrators have evaluation plans. So as part of my evaluation plan, I want to increase parent engagement. So as part of my school goal, I've asked all teachers to encourage parent participation in PAC meetings as part of their SLO. So if each teacher can get one parent to come, that would garner at least 20 participants monthly in meetings. PAC meeting reminders are sent out monthly, a few days before the meeting, in addition to the original posting on the website, Facebook, and Parent Square. At the time of this email, about 40% of our PAC funds have been spent. I believe at this point, we are closer to about 60%. This amount does not include orders that were put in that week for 2 December PAC events. And our money is always spent at the end of the school year, if not, probably by April. Ms. Cheatham and I have a pretty organic relationship. So she can text me, she can email me. And if I'm not available, she can ask my secretary to put herself on my calendar so that we can meet. But it is a lot less formal than that. Ms. Cheatham was provided with PAC bylaws when she first took office back in February of 2021, I believe. No, 2020. 2020 is when I got there. Yeah. She was before then. There was a PAC on paper, but it wasn't really a working PAC. That PAC president did submit her resignation, and Ms. Sam was nominated. We held an election, and the office was put in place at that time. There was another election last year because there was low participation from those who were elected. Unfortunately, there was low participation in that as well.
Ms. Cheatham was encouraged to and successfully completed the Parent Leadership Training Institute, which has helped her to become a huge advocate. And she is extremely active in the day-to-day, hour by hour, minute by minute operations at Overcross. She is there all the time. So sometimes I gotta send her home, yes. And actually new guidelines were created for PAC climate events. So nothing can be planned within less than 30 days because it's just messy and we like things to look nice. And no events can be planned outside of the climate meeting because the climate team, they are the team that gets the job done, along with Ms. Cheatham. As far as how PAC is going, the system is in place. We still do struggle with engagement, as we discussed at the meeting last week. But one of the initiatives through the school improvement grant is the parent teacher home visit program, which is a research-based program, and it is shown to be effective. Our grant was finally approved on December 12th. So now we can begin that initiative so that teachers, and I did have a conversation with the BEA president about this, so that teachers can begin to perform home visits and try to engage parents in that way. So as far as our events for the year, take it away, Sam.
Before you start, Ms. I want to say congratulations because I know you graduated from PLTI.
Yeah.
I know you did it, I'm very proud. I'm PLTI 2009 too. So congratulations for that. I know exactly how to be a leader and, help the parents in the community. I just wanted to tell you congratulations for that.
Thank you. My name is Samantha Cheatham. I'm the PAC president. So we do now, since we don't have a group of parents that are participating in our school, and I am the only sole PAC member. And due to everybody else, I will give them snacks and refreshments, but I choose not to buy a meal to have parents participate in their kids' schooling. So before that's said to me, just gonna clear the table. I do attend climate and sometimes school governance meetings. I plan all my events in the beginning of the year. So now I don't order on the times that they say, because they give me 3 months ahead of time. I order because I don't know what type of decorations I'm gonna pick for that day. So I just order on my time. We had the following PAC events was movie night, 10/13. We had a Halloween dance, which includes all family members and the kids and the teachers. We have a Halloween parade and trunk or treat which was hosted on 10/28. We had turkey bingo, which turkey bingo, we give them gift cards and turkeys and dinners and side meals and things for them for the holidays. We had parent teacher night, but we rescheduled it. Holiday movie night was last week, and we did Home Alone in our own theater at our school that we have. And tomorrow I got holiday crafts, which is where all the parents come together and we make ornaments for our tree. We got the Sweetheart Dance, then we got literature night, Spring Fling, Family Fun Night, 8th grade banquet, 100th day, which the 100th day is up here in February. We got Caregivers Day. So for my Caregivers Day, we turned it into an art show. So our students, all the artwork that they do throughout the whole school year, we hang it all up in the gym, and we have the parents come out. So in the process of they're having an art show, some of the kids are auctioning their art off during the art show, and we have breakfast, and the kids get to show and talk to their parents about the stuff that we have in the school. We got June Jamboree. June Jamboree is like a big picnic carnival. Okay. And then we have Family Fun Night. So on Family Fun Night, that night is just us with our kids in a big area full of games and fun. So besides that, I don't have much to say.
The only other thing I want to add is that since these events are scheduled at the beginning of the year, we were able to create a sign-up sheet for our staff members, and we ask each staff member to volunteer for at least 2. So for the year, even if we are still struggling with parent engagement and getting help for Sam, we've already got for every single event, at least 4 or more staff members committed to be there that night to help put on the event. I'm at every event, and the assistant principal is at most of the events as well.
Good. You know, when you can order stuff, like you say, you don't know what you go order stuff, but if you go to the book, I don't know if you have an Oriental training.
Yeah.
You can order, online.
No,
stuff like
that ain't my picture. I don't know what my decoration theme is.
Yeah, but you think that there is something with the print color. Know what you come in, what you can decorate.
You're not getting it. I don't know if I want Cupid or heart.
So what she means is she's not sure until she gets closer to the event.
Yeah.
What her vibe is gonna be.
Yeah.
So she kind of waits for her vibe, but her vibe has to happen by April 6th. So her vibe has to happen by April 6th, because that's when we have to spend stuff. But she never neglects spending the funds. She always spends, trust me.
Probably over.
Yeah. But no, she definitely has the vision and the passion and puts on amazing. You would think she does this professionally.
No, I understand, but when I tell you about rental training, because I did it and they still have it there. Let's say you want to do something in February, something heart, but you don't have it, you know where to find the heart, but at least you have something there is red, they can represent the Valentine, some Valentine stuff like that. That's what when tell you have something there for emergency. So in case you're gonna find it, at least you have it there. That's why I wanted, inform you. Yeah,
Okay.
it's like a plan B.
Yep.
I got some stuff from last year.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
I know you said about home visit and stuff like that. That's a good idea. I would like to know Ms. Perry and the president of the BCAP, help you with that, because it will be good to, engage parents and look at the parents.
Yep.
I know it's not easy, but when we try, I spoke with some community leader yesterday too, and I'll tell that week too, so they were able to help you to get some parent, try the best he can. It's not gonna be easy, but at least he's gonna try the best.
Our gonna make us talk. Gonna get over here and talk to this parent right here, right now. Like what? I'm in the middle of a event, sir.
That's the way you have to find, parents sometimes, Trust me, I did it for almost 20 years and look at where I am. Ms. Brown, you have any question?
I would say congratulations, and I was laughing because you guys have a really interesting team. But I also want to say, don't get discouraged. And I know that you won't, but just sometimes it's good to hear it. I know that is right now it's you and then the staff that are assisting. So don't get discouraged. They'll come. Even if not, it's good that you have a school that's willing to support you the best that they can. And we see the work that you do. So congratulations and keep it up. Just keep it up.
Just thank you. Having communication with your principal and don't let her go. Do you have any questions? Your speech.
Hey, they heard the speech. Hey, they don't need the speech, but I'd like to echo what Ms. Brown said. Do not get frustrated.
Yeah.
Your voice does matter. You got to start somewhere. When me and Albert first started on the board, right before Albert started on the board, we had probably half the schools not even spending a dime, unpopulated impact, and it did start with one person, one voice stepping up and expanding upon that. You might not see the people right away that you're affecting, but you're being heard. And somebody's going to come behind you, and then it's going to expand, and you're going to leave a legacy behind. Keep your voice active.
Yes. But like I always say, good communication or good respect, you will have good success. Mr. Kisha, you have something to say?
No questions. Just thank you very much for your hard work.
Mr. Plana?
May I?
Of course.
Comment?
I was waiting for you.
I just want to thank all the parents that are here today.
Yeah.
It really takes a village. That's nice.
Of course.
It takes a village to educate our students. And, the schools can't do it by themselves. And some of the experiences that they all mentioned are experiences that we couldn't do by ourselves without the help of parents and the community. So really kudos to them for giving their time and to you guys also for giving your time.
Yeah, no, thank you for the staff too, to be here tonight. I know you have to be home, with your husband, your kids, your family, but I really appreciate that and I respect that, I really appreciate that, it's very important.
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock.
9:30.
That's one last.
Thank you. That's not given, but. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. The next one and the last one we had is the research program. You finally take, sorry for you had to wait so long, but.
Next time I'll.
Yeah, let's see.
I know.
Tell.
Try, I was, yeah. Oh, he was happy of your plans. Hi. Yes, she called me. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for that. She,
Hello, can you introduce yourself and everything for the record, and your floor is yours.
Yes, so my name is Christine McFarland. I am the co-founder of the Reset program. And we are proposing an out of school suspension program here in Bridgeport. And if you put it up, we could just read it all together, huh? You could just, the bio, the executive summary.
Reentry, what was the title of that?
The Reset program. Yes. So, Community Life Solutions is a branch from Community Services to Support Independence. Our overall agency works with adults with developmental disabilities, but we created a youth unit to our program. So, Community Life Solutions is a Bridgeport-based nonprofit dedicated to improving community through any means necessary. It's as a background, we've been in existence since 2018 as a youth program, and the agency is familiar with the needs of the Bridgeport community. Recent conversations with community stakeholders identified a need to provide services for students suspended out of school for various reasons. Community Life Solutions will partner with Safeway Family Services, a Bridgeport-based therapeutic after-school and mentoring program to offer services to youth suspended out of school. The organization's hope is to change the narrative for children unable to adjust in the classroom, with frustration leading to dismissal, and adopting the idea of reset programming as a necessary and less negative approach to readjusting and begin again with a fresh start to return to the classroom setting. The program proposes serving youth in youth up to 8th grade and 2 identified schools in the city of Bridgeport. Community conversations have primarily identified Wilbur Cross and Caesar Battaglia, and now we just recently added Geraldine Clater to the list. And we added Geraldine Clater because right now our Saturday Reset program serves those particular students at this time. Right now we have about 6 students. We have 10 participants. 6 of the 10 are Geraldine Clater children. The mentioned schools are identified based on statistics as potential communities that would benefit from proposed services to induct change within the school system. The agencies propose to collaborate with the school, the family, and other community supports to address the needs of youth and to increase classroom attendance, as well as use the reset model to encourage behavior change towards education. Program services will offer a facility for the youth to attend when suspended out of school. This will relieve stress on the parent that may be struggling to find appropriate childcare, maintain safety for the child, assist in take-home homework assignments, as well as provide the student with trauma-informed interventions from experienced staff. Additionally, staff will work with the school, youth, and family to identify factors that may be contributing to the behavioral issues occurring at the school. Individualized supports will be provided to youth and family to assist in improving school behavior and academic achievement. Youth involved in the program will be offered the opportunity to receive incentives and rewards for academic and behavioral improvements.
Parent and caregivers will be offered opportunity to receive incentives for working with program staff to address youth behaviors at home and in the community. Parent caregivers will be given skills to assist in holding youth accountable for the exhibitive maladaptive behaviors that occur in the schools. Families will be offered family therapy sessions by licensed social workers and child and family trauma-informed experiences. The evidence-based model would determine if children are provided with the appropriate wraparound supports. It would show a fundamental improvement in the way in which a child views obtaining an education while understanding the importance of having a healthy relationship with school personnel, authority figures, interacting better with peers, and taking advantage of learning new skills. The agencies will work with a local university to create a quality assurance program to collect data to develop an evidence-based program model. Services will be trauma-informed, culturally sensitive, community-based, and collaborative. Direct services will include tutoring and mentoring, assessment of family dynamics, and ongoing therapeutic family support. Referral to additional supports and community resources will also be offered. Program staff will include a licensed social worker, educational consultant, adult and peer mentor for youth, and other professional staff. The program will focus on hiring local community members to provide supports to families. Any questions? Nothing.
Thank you. Has this program already, it's already started, so it's already started in the school that you mentioned?
Yes, so we have not really gotten to the point where we collaborate with the school system itself just yet. There was an email that went out. There was a few interactions with a few social workers of the school, and it's at their choice that they've been calling our program to engage the kids in the Saturday program.
Okay.
So our Saturday program started first. It was supposed to be an incentive base, but it started first because that was the program that the schools started to call us about. But the idea is to have the out-of-school suspension program that happened during school hours for, right now we was offering only up to 14 slots because that's what our model entails, 14 slots for 3 schools. If a child is suspended, a child would be enrolled into the out-of-school suspension program. And if we feel that they need additional supports, they would then attend our after-school clinical support program. And as an incentive to doing well, not being suspended, adhering to school rules and so on and so forth, they would then be offered the incentive of coming to our Saturday Academy where we would offer them community inclusion, trips in and out of the community, token economy, whatever it takes to get that child to adjust.
So then my other question is the program, so if a student gets suspended for 3 days, if you have the capacity to fill, say, you have the capacity to fill, that student would stay with you within those 3 days while they're out of school and you guys prepare them to go back into the classroom after suspension?
Yes. So we work collaboratively with the school to make sure that they are aware of whatever we put in place for the child at the time. We may, we're going to have a behaviorist, so that person will do a behavior plan for that particular child for the 3 days. We'll offer them mindfulness. We'll give them all the skills that they need to better adjust in the school system. But at this moment, we have a child right now that goes to the Clayton school, and she's been suspended 28 days so far out of school since school started. And it's basically because she threw water at a kid. She constantly throws water on kids. Right. So the problem is what is making her do that? What is it that she doesn't have? What is the information that she doesn't have to have that relationship with the school where she can do other things, alternative behavioral processes that'll allow her to stay in the school and not be suspended out of the school?
And then one more question. So I know that the schools, I don't know, this may be a question for you guys. When students are suspended, do they receive packets from the district that goes home with them so they are at least catching up? They may not be able to be in the building, but they are still engaging. And the reason why I ask that is like, do you guys receive those packages or are aware that you work with the parents to receive those packages to keep them caught up despite them being suspended? So
they are supposed to get a packet. They are supposed to have work. Most of our programs are digital. I was talking to Ms. Farling today about that. There are times when, you know, they have to come back for the packet, you know, it's a miscommunication about who's gonna get the packet. By the time they get the packet, then the next day they're back. The one thing I do wanna say is that right now, when you have kids on OSS, they are marked as absent. And it adds up to their chronic absenteeism.
Right.
So if someone's been suspended 28 days, 18, you are chronically absent, you can't really change that. So if she's out 28 days, because we put her out, we've made that child chronically absent. There is some new legislation that is coming down the pipe about attendance and about kids being able to do work. If they were home and we could prove that they were doing work online or that they didn't, or they completed a packet, we could mark them present. And so having a program like this would be perfect for that.
Yeah.
Just, you know, yeah.
That was like kind of like the question, like how supportive that would support those students, because I had an example. I had a student, she had gotten suspended and she could not come to the school, but I also run a program within the schools. And I was like, even though you can't come to the school during the daytime, we still need you to be in the program because you still need all of this extra help that you're not getting because you're suspended for 10 days.
Yes.
Right.
So, you know, and then her mom, who's not familiar with the Bridgeport public school system, she didn't even know to come get her packet. So the daughter didn't tell her mom and the mom wasn't aware because she's not from the district. She just got a notice or a call saying that her daughter was suspended for whatever she did, but there was no follow-up. So that's why the packs and stuff like that, it's so important that they know what their next steps is, what their options are, and keeping them up to date, because that is chronic absenteeism. And then there's also behind the ball with their education, because now they done missed 10 days of okay, I'll give you a example. Math is one subject you cannot afford to miss.
Not right.
Miss one day, you are lost for eons of like information. So just imagine, you know, if they're in high school or if they're in middle school, like the amount of information that they're missing.
Absolutely.
And so I'm really interested the fact that is something that we're doing or can
this
be
is
done.
how we work together. When she came to me to talk to me about it and she was talking about the kids she has, I said, oh, you have kids from my school, Clay. She was telling me about the little girl. I said, oh, wait a minute. Immediately pulled up her information. I said, oh no, we're going to walk out together. I'm going to Clayton. Going to Clayton. And I went to Clayton. I spoke to the teacher. I spoke to the principal. I said, we have to figure out what's happening with this little kid. Why is she suspended all the time? The principal said, well, you know, she threw water or whatever. I said, threw water. I said, what happened to restorative practice? Where is that piece in there? It's not just suspension. So so now the teacher, I gave the teacher her name and number because she's working with the child and they've connected. So it's good when everybody's involved.
Right. So one of the things that is good about this program is we plan to have a relationship with the parents. So that after the phone call today with the teacher, I called mom. Mom, why is she not in school again today? Mom is very sick. Mom said, because I'm so sick, I couldn't wake her up. So she's out of school. I said, well, this is 6 days, you know, so what can we do to help you? Right?
She was present Friday.
So what can we, right? So what could we do to help her get to the school? What can we do to help you? Do you need us to help you do, you know, anything to make this happen? Because she cannot keep missing days of school. She was already suspended. You know, so mom is like, thank you so much for calling. I'm going to make sure I'm up tomorrow morning. I said, well, I'm going to give you a call in the morning and make sure that you can actually do this. And if you can't do this, we'll jump in somehow and help you get her to the school. So we really want to work as a collaborative force for the school system, helping the teachers, you know, jobs get easier without doing the teachers' jobs. We do plan to have a teacher on board that can actually do educational work with the kids when they come into the program. We'll have a para. We'll have those educational resources within the program that can actually help the child do what they've already learned in school. We don't plan on teaching them things that they don't know and work as, you know, a school system. We're working as an alternative to doing things that parents can't seem to do for their kids
because they either don't have the education or they're either in the same child that we're speaking about now. Mom is not able to read. Grandma is Hispanic and she speaks very little English. There's an older brother that he's dropped out of school in 10th grade. So she's probably saying to herself, why do I need to get up every single day and go out to school? We want to give her the empowerment that this is what you need to do in order to be successful, right? So we want to put this program in place within the city of Bridgeport to help the school system keep the kids in the classroom longer and make the kids feel more empowered by using other skills and other things to reduce behaviors that's disruptive according to, the school system.
Yeah.
We do plan to work with kids K through 2. So we have a model here, but we kind of say, why would they suspend a child, K through 2? But we see it. So that particular model would be a little different. That'll include childcare. That'll include testing, recommendations for testing, and the clinical social worker kind of stepping in and doing some other skills for kids that young that's being suspended from school, and how much do we have to intervene in the school system itself in order to figure out why would you suspend a child, out of the 2nd grade, and those things that's happening in the school system. So we're presenting a model because we definitely are running the program of Saturday Academy off of a small grant that we were able to land to run that program, but we do need more funds in order to run a program, a small pilot program, but it's going to require clinical staff and it's going to require professional staff to actually get in there and do the job. So if we could change one child at a time, it's better than changing no kids at a time, right? So, any questions? Anybody have any questions for me?
You have any questions?
You asked them last time, yes.
Yeah, Keisha?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing?
No, I'm good.
Mr. Planas? Oh, thank you. Dr. Morgan? You be said. And I know you're always on top of everything.
And I heard that, I was like, oh, wait.
Yes. So my plan is to, continue to work with Dr. Morgan and all of the professionals, because the more feedback we get about how to make this program a successful one is going to make it all successful for all of us.
Definitely.
That's good to know. And I want the parents to know, like you guys here who help the child, have the education that it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you.
So I will forward all this information with Christina.
Yes.
Because she's the one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it in our package?
Yeah. It's in the package.
Okay, thank you. Yes, that's definitely.
Motion to adjourn.
Yes. Okay.
We have one more?
So that's gonna be the end of our student family meeting 2022. So I'm making a motion to adjourn the meeting.
That move.
Second.
I was like, wait.
Thank you for everyone. And before the meeting, can you everyone come like I do for Thanksgiving?
All right.
Please, everyone, including John, including Sam. Please, everyone.
Wow.
And well, that rice was amazing.
What do I do?
I know a lot of people leave because it was a long night.
It's almost midnight. They don't want to turn up the
Yeah.
pumpkin.
I know. Sam, John. Sam, don't take too long. I know. I understand,
I wasn't ready.
You getting them out.
You know me.
Meeting.
When I say 1, 2, 3, and then we can say Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Well, everyone, thank you for everyone to be here in this meeting. I know it was a long, but it was my last one, 2022. As the chair of student family, I have to say thank you for everyone to take your time. Thank you for IT department. Thank you for Sam. Thank you all my staff, my committee members. Welcome, Keisha, to our board meeting. Student family, you're going to be with us for 2023. So thank you for everyone. And remember, people, please, I know we have time for everything, but call your friends, call your family, call everyone, because a simple call text message or something like you're busy is very important, right? So I wish you everyone 1, 2, 3. Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Right.
Good night.
Good night.
God bless us all, everyone.
We're
still on.
Yeah, don't let me finish. Sam,
So don't tell the
Mm.